Here in New Orleans, where in just a few moments, the 36th annual State Farm Bayou Classic will take place. And lots on the... Lewis Johnson here in New Orleans, where in just a few moments, the 36th annual State Farm Bayou Classic will take place. And lots on the line for two coaches. Grambling State University's Rod Broadway is 1-1 in the Bayou Classic. And he's facing the Dean of the SWAC, Pete Richardson, who has won this game 12 times, looking for win number 13. The Bayou Classic coming your way in just a moment, but first we go to Bill Patrick in our New York studio.
Welcome to the U.S. Bank NBC Sports Report. Here's your host, Bill Patrick.
Hi, everybody. We'll get you back out to the Superdome in just a moment, but first, some other sports news, starting with golf, where world #1 Tiger Woods.
It's a beautiful day in the Big Easy as fans make their way to the Superdome in New Orleans. And there's a buzz both outside and inside as we're moments away from the kickoff of another classic. And there's Jaguars senior quarterback Bryant Lee standing in the tunnel, the same tunnel as his NFL idol, New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees. Now Lee is hoping to lead his team out onto the field and hoping to lead his team to victory in his final appearance. There's Pete Richardson with such great history here in the Bayou Classic, one of the true leaders in the SWAC in terms of wins and legacy. As the Jaguars now prepare to take the field. And the roar from the crowd as the Southern University Jaguars are now on the field. What a scene in New Orleans every year as these great schools come to the Bayou Classic hoping for a win. And the 36th edition of the Bayou Classic is now just moments away. Every year on Thanksgiving weekend, an event is held in New Orleans. A competition that embodies the essence and soul of a truly unique American city. Two Louisiana schools strive for athletic and musical supremacy. Whether it's the battle on the gridiron or the battle of the bands, Southern and Grambling rise to the occasion. It's the marching band from Jaguar Land, the Human Jukebox, against the world-famed Tiger Marching Band. It's Southern versus Grambling State.
For the end zone. And it is a touchdown to Stewart. First down play is a keep by Dillon. Dillon inside the 5 and for the touchdown.
The Bayou Classic is their Super Bowl, and it's in the Superdome next.
Welcome to the Big Easy.
NBC Sports presents the 36th edition of the State Farm Bayou Classic. Well, you're just in time, so come on inside the Superdome and join this annual Bayou party. The fans have made their way to their seats to see who's going to get bragging rights for the next 365 days. And another roar of the crowd as the Grambling State Tigers now take to the field. There's Rod Broadway leading his team out in his third appearance, and their quarterback, Greg Dillon, hoping to lead his team to victory and make a whole lot of fans happy here in the Big Easy. Well, hello, everyone. I'm Lewis Johnson, hoping you and yours continue to enjoy a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend together. Well, since 1974, the Bayou Classic has been an important part of Thanksgiving weekend for the Grambling State Tigers, the Southern University Jaguars, and over 200,000 fans who make the trip to New Orleans each year for the entire weekend. Now, for many here in the Big Easy, today's game is the final event of a full week of activity celebrating the great traditions of these two institutions. Now, the weekend always brings several celebrities to the Dome, and I'll be talking with some of them throughout the day as I roam the sidelines. And as usual, halftime will be off the charts as Southwest Airlines presents the Battle of the Bands. Now, both Grambling and Southern are in the Western Division of the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and for the first time in 17 years, mathematically, neither team can make the SWAC championship. So this is their bowl game, which leads us to the X's and O's of our game today. And you know, we're happy to welcome Paul McGuire back to the NBC broadcast booth, and he's standing by upstairs with Tom Hammond. Tom?
All right, Lewis, and it is great to have Paul back. We even heard a couple of news stories last night. I didn't think there was any chance of that. Paul will see the two highest scoring teams in the conference squared off here this afternoon, but they sort of get there by different ways. Grambling likes to run the football, and Southern has a great passing attack led by their quarterback Bryant Lee, who's rewritten all the record books at Southern.
But Lee doesn't have the strongest of arms, and what he does do is throw the intermediate routes very well. That's the 15 to 25-yard route. But the thing to me that's most impressive about this young man is how he reads defense. That's why their offensive passing is so successful.
And, of course, he wants to know always where Jamore Stewart is. That's his go-to receiver.
Yeah, this guy, when you look at the numbers of Stewart, it is so impressive. This guy definitely, Tom, goes to the next level. He is that kind of receiver. Watch him today. He catches with his hands. Nothing gets to his body. And he smiles all the time. But one of the things that makes him so successful is on the other side. They have not had in years a good tight end, and now they got Warren Matthews. This young man, 7 touchdowns. Warren Matthews takes a lot of pressure. When they double team Stewart, Warren Matthews is the guy they're going to go to. Finally, they say we have a tight end.
Well, you know, Rod Broadway, the Grambling coach, was a defensive lineman. Defense is his thing, so it's been painful sometimes to see how many points his team has given up. But he does have a defensive gem at defensive end in Christian Anthony.
Well, Christian Anthony, understand now, folks, this man's only a junior. And I'm going to tell you something. When I looked at the numbers, and you're looking at them now, those are the real numbers. This is what he does. He does this from a 3-point stance. He has never been up in the 2 stance, just his feet up, no hand on the ground. This guy is a player. The one thing that they have to do with him, though, is slow him down a little bit. If you think, I mean, I'm for real. And they look at him, and Broadway says, hey, you know what? Sometimes he gets himself in trouble. He did it at the beginning of the year. Now he's leveled out. He's great, man. Should
be fun to watch today. 2 high-scoring offenses and some pretty good defensive individuals as well. From the Superdome in New Orleans, yes, we are way down yonder in New Orleans and ready for the 36th edition of the Bayou Classic. Bryant Lee has rewritten all the Southern passing records, but Greg Dillon was the Bayou MVP, leading Grambling to victory a year ago.
Most you came to Southern University because of having that opportunity to play in the dome. Now we owe it to the seniors to make sure that we finish up strong and give them an opportunity to go out with a victory.
And that was Pete Richardson, the Southern coach, in this coach's moment brought to you by Ford Drive 1. The State Farm Bayou Classic, Southern and Grambling, pair of 6-win teams, and the series very close. Southern leads, but only by 1 game. And down on the sideline, let's go back to Lewis Johnson. He has Coach Richardson of Southern.
All right, Tom, thanks a lot. Well, Coach, you've been in so many of these Bayou Classic situations, but without an opportunity to get to a SWAC championship, just how big is this day for you?
This is a huge game, especially for our fans base, because this is a championship. That's all they want to play for. This is exciting for both teams.
Excitement is the key word for both squads. So how is it important to really maintain composure? What do you want this team to do or not do in the first few minutes of this game?
I think the first 5 minutes is going to be real important on both football teams. We have to play smart and don't create any turnovers.
All right, Pete, thanks so much and good luck. Tom?
All right, Lewis, and Southern did win the toss and elected to receive to open this Bayou Classic. So we'll see that Southern high-powered offense on the field first, as Ari Johnson is set to kick it off for Grambling. That's Richard Wilson, who is the deep man for the Jaguars of Southern. Coach Rod Broadway and the Tigers won it last year. On their way to the SWAC championship. Short kickoff taken by Cushingberry. And Cushingberry with a seam up the sideline. Cushingberry finally ridden out of bounds inside the Grambling 20-yard line. A big return. Nigel Copeland saved a touchdown, but still a 69-yard return by Cushingberry to open the game.
Tom, you're going to see speed. What did Richardson say? Let's not make any mistakes and turn the ball over. Well, how about just taking the kickoff almost all the way back for a touchdown? Look at Cushingberry, the speed. But the thing about him is that he ran straight ahead. There was no dancing. All he did was catch the football and go.
Cushingberry. And Cushingberry with a seam up the sideline. So spot the ball just shy of the 10-yard line of Grambling. And the direct snap to Lee, who gives it to Threet, and Threet gets a couple of tough yards down to about the 8-yard line. Here's Bryant Lee with 63% completions, 2,200 yards, 21 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. He's also run for 5 scores. Second down. Handoff. Lee keeps it, actually. Lee keeps and gets to the 5, just inside the 5. Bryant Lee, we told you he had 5 rushing touchdowns, keeps there. And Foster makes the stop for Grambling.
I just looked to the outside, and we talked about Jamora Stewart and how Grambling State is they're going to double team him all over the field. Well, that time they rolled into a coverage, and I think that Lee wanted to throw the ball to him, just a little play action pass.
Right.
But Stewart was not open.
Ball just inside the Grambling 5-yard line. Lee from the shotgun, rolling to his right. Into the end zone. Is it caught? No, incomplete. Short hopped on the catch, incomplete. So after the big kickoff return by Cushingberry, he can't come up with a reception in the end zone. And on 4th down, have to settle for a field goal attempt.
Cushingberry is the inside receiver. Just take a look at him now. He fakes back to the inside, and then he just gets behind the corner and the safety. He is wide open. If that ball is just about a foot higher, he's got a chance to make the catch. That would have been a difficult catch because it went through his arms and hit the ground.
Josh Duran will attempt a 21-yard field goal. He's hit 1 of 6 this season. That one is on its way, and no good. No good. So the big kickoff return by Cushingberry goes for naught. A 69-yard return, but they come away with 0 points, and Grambling will send out the offense. The State Farm Bayou Classic is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com. Grab your bag. It's on. By the all-new 2010 Ford Taurus. Come with it and drive one today. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Well, Southern misfires after a great kickoff return. And you see that Duran has had problems inside the red zone. Only 1 of 7 field goals now. So Grambling will take over from the 20-yard line. Frank Warren, and Warren with a good burst out to the 35-yard line. A first down for Grambling, and that's what they like to do with Frank Warren, who averages 5.4 yards a carry.
He goes between Phillips and Jackson on the left-hand side. This is just straight ahead. Watch this. The one thing that Southern talked to us about is we got to keep Dillon boxing the inside. Well, what you've got to do is stop the running on the inside first and don't worry too much about Dillon.
Here's Warren with another carry, his second straight carry, as Grambling elects to pound it on the first 2 plays, and successfully as Greg Dillon gets the play call. As we said last year, he was the MVP of the Bayou Classic and also the MVP in the SWAC championship game won by the Tigers. From the shotgun, Dillon flushed from the pocket and then throws it away and completes it to Walker. Looked like he was just trying to heave it out of bounds, and Cornelius Walker went right out to make the catch on the sideline with Holloway, the man that flushed him from the pocket.
Well, Dillon just shows you his athletics. Watch this. He's going to stumble coming out because, you know, he's got a bad left ankle, but he comes out, you see him stumble, and then he gets back to the outside. Watch what he's doing. He's looking downfield. He sees Cornelius Walker. He's not really trying to throw the ball away. He was throwing the ball actually to Walker.
I thought he was trying to throw it away, but he got right to Walker. And you mentioned it, that ankle, that left ankle. Greg Dillon injured that ankle seriously against Oklahoma State. as they step off the first penalty of the game against the Jaguars. It was a face mask, personal foul. So a 15-yard penalty, too, after the pass completion. But just to finish that story, Dillon injuring the left ankle seriously against Oklahoma State, and the doctors recommending surgery, and he said, my teammates need me, they depend on me. And he also said he wanted to go back and play again in the Bayou Classic, and hoping to repeat his MVP status from a year ago. So Grambling on the move here at the 42-yard line of Southern from the shotgun. Dillon handing to Walker, and Walker to the 30-yard line. The Tigers have really a potent running punch, with Cornelius Walker averaging 5.8 yards a carry and Frank Warren 5.4.
Well, isn't it interesting? Now, you look at a team that is the best running team in SWAC, okay? That's Grambling State. But the best defense against a run is Southern. I mean, a better defense than Grambling is. So they're going into Southern's strength, but Southern can't slow them down.
Got 11 yards on first down on that last carry. Here's a play-action fake. Dillon with good protection, wide open, but overshoots his intended receiver, Van Phillips.
I got to tell you, we've seen two guys open now, one for Southern and Phillips on this play here. Phillips comes all the way across the field. Now watch, they just let him go. He goes through the secondary. Nobody gets back with him. There are no linebackers. The safeties are already in the end zone. And Dillon just throws the ball over his head. Watch Dillon. Oh, man, that's my fault.
Second down and 10 for the Tigers. Dillon moving around in the pocket, buying a little time. And again, wide of his intended receiver, Rodale Pippen.
Tom, you say, don't tell me this guy's got a bad ankle. Because if he does, he doesn't know it. He said, you know, by tomorrow I'll be 100%. Watch the moves. Watch his feet. Don't look at anything. Look at his feet. Back. Now back to his right, and still gets the ball away and almost completes his pass. You talk about being alert. Look at how his head concentrates on just being downfield.
Elusive despite the bum ankle. From the shotgun. Plenty of time. The protection is good. And the pass, again, off target with a man that was open, Batiste.
First of all, in college football, it's against the law to have this much time to throw the ball. What? How much time he has. There's a cross by the defensive lineman. They don't even get close to him. Dillon has got to start getting that ball on target.
Dillon has shown us some escapability, but his accuracy is not good.
They're going for it on fourth down.
Fourth down, and Grambling goes for it. And Dillon just has to heave it out of bounds. So the Southern defense, Don Holloway and Marcus Clark bearing down on Dillon. And so they, on fourth down, have to give it up to the Tigers. Here's a look at Marcus Clark, who was supplying the pressure on Dillon. So after they had advanced all the way to the 42-yard line, and we see a flag down on the field now.
There was a flag on the play.
Take a look at it. Keith Moore is our referee today.
Isn't it amazing? We have a passing team that came out in the first series of down and ran the ball, and we have a running team that comes out in the first series of down, ran a couple plays, but basically threw the ball.
Well, they both looked like they were a little out of their element too, didn't they?
They did.
Pete Richardson, is he being given the option here?
How about I want the ball?
Receiving the area, intentional ground on offense.
So they call Dillon for intentional grounding.
But what Richardson is talking, I want the ball back at the spot where he threw it. Okay.
So the Jaguars miss on a chance to score, but then they hold Grambling, and Southern will have its second possession when we come back to the Superdome. We're back at the State Farm Bayou Classic. Southern cheerleaders applauding their defense, which just held Grambling on 4th down. So the Jaguars take over at the 40-yard line from the shotgun. Bryant Lee stands in the pocket, throws low, incomplete, intended for Cushingberry. As we look at the starting offense for the Jaguars. See their offensive line with Brown, Banks, Chin-Young, Stewart, and Davis. Breed is the leading rusher, and Stewart is the leading receiver. Matthews, the tight end, figures to get some play, as Paul mentioned earlier. 2nd down and 10. Quarterback draw. Lee only gets a couple of yards. Tackled by Christian Anthony, his first of the day, and maybe first of many.
You will call his name a lot.
There he is. He's playing that right defensive end. He has 6 sacks, 5 interceptions, 4 forced fumbles, and 3 fumble recoveries. Exuma is their leading tackler.
And he's right behind Exuma.
And there's the secondary for the Tigers. 2nd down and 7. 3rd down and 7, I should say. And that pass is deflected and incomplete. Intended for Stewart. And defended on the play by T.J. McCord.
Stewart was open, and Lee waited too long to throw the ball. If you're going to throw the ball to Stewart, you got to throw it to him now. When he breaks the first coverage, see how long he got back into the safety. And once he got back into the safety, he was covered. There was no place to throw the ball.
So 4th down for Southern, and Thompson is on to punt. Josh Duran, I should say, is on the punt with Thompson deep. And this will stop the play, and the flags fly.
Flags down. Nope.
Josh Duran, the Southern punter, averaging 40 yards a boot.
Outside. I'm made on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Beat you down.
It was 4th and 7, so that will not give them a first down as they step off 5 against Grambling.
In a game like this, you just wonder how many times are they going to go on 4th down? Does it matter where you are on the field? They can't either one of them get to the championship game. But as you said at the beginning, this game is so important to these two teams. They don't want to make any mistakes.
It's 4th down and 2, and they're still going to punt from their own 48-yard line. So Josh Duran blocked, partially blocked, and Grambling will have it. Across their own 40-yard line, it looked like Ryan Allen was the man that blocked the Duran punt. Ryan Allen of Grambling with a punt block. Duran had 1 block during the season. That's his 2nd, so a tough start to the game for Josh Duran, who missed a 21-yard field goal and then has his first punt blocked.
Well, first of all, the ball was snapped high.
So far, a game of mistakes. Blocked punt, and Grambling with great field position when we come back.
And welcome back to the Bayou Classic. No score in the first quarter, but just take a look at this Josh Duran. First of all, he's lucky to catch the ball. Where he makes the big mistake, if you can hold it right here, as he turns right towards the defensive end coming in, Allen. And instead of kicking the ball straight ahead, Tom, he went towards the defensive guy. You've got to give yourself some room to get the ball off.
So the net result is Grambling will start from its own 41-yard line. Greg Dillon off to a tough start. He hit his first pass, but is 0 for 4 since then. 1 of 5 for 4 yards. Blitz coming from the Jaguars, handed to Batiste, and Batiste crosses the 45 to the 46-yard line. Let's go down to Lewis.
Tom, I kept an eye on the Grambling quarterback Greg Dillon, who, as you mentioned, was off target in that last series. Remember, he told us that that ankle is about 95%. He has some problems cutting off to the right with it. You wonder if that has a problem with the accuracy, but he took no medical attention, just spirited discussion on getting this offense going.
Well, there he hits that pass as they get it out on the short toss out into the flat and pick up a first down. The pass caught by Jefferson for the Grambling first down. It looked like the problem with Dillon was not his ankle, but his arm, and that first series which stalled from Grambling to try to make something going here. As you see their offensive line, starting unit, and as we said in the backfield, Walker and Warren are sort of interchangeable at the running back. Very capable. Dillon escapes again and has an. Dillon's inside the 40 and went out of bounds at about the 36-yard line. So Greg Dillon again showing his running ability, chased out by Pierre Warford. Gain of 11.
How do you get away from Jordan Miller, number 90? This guy is huge. Take a look at this. Watch Dillon. He'll show you some right here. There is getting away from Miller, number 90, and then Dillon going back to the outside. You talk about awareness. You know, you call him a quarterback. This guy's a running back. I'm sorry. He can do that better than throw.
5 formation, including Frank Warren, normally a running back. And they complete the pass to Smith. Jesse Smith, Jr. with the reception as we look at the starting Southern defense. Front with Holloway has a couple of sacks this season, so does Jones. And your linebackers, including Marcus Clark, has made a couple of plays for Southern. And Tim Berry at the cornerback made that last tackle for the Jaguars. Now at the 20-yard line. Second down and about 1. Trying to throw back to Dillon, and he makes the catch off his shoe tops, and now trying to pick up some blockers. And a flag is down as he's thrown for a big loss on the play. Looking for Rodale Pippin. There's a loss of 10 yards on the play and a flag down.
Well, I'm going to tell you what now. The guy you really want to throw the ball to would be Dillon. I mean, he ends up being a runner. I said he's a better running back than he is a quarterback. Here, now Pippin's going to get the ball and he's going to throw the back. Look at the catch that Dillon makes. Now he shows you how good he really is. Would you like to be the guy that really has to stop him one-on-one in the secondary? Doesn't go that way. He's just a good football. That's Warford, number 21, who is a true freshman in the tackle. Good play. But
penalty against Grambling. So Pippin hitting Dillon with the pass and then made a couple of blocks. Pippin did. He sometimes is the man of the Wildcat that takes the direct snap for the Tigers.
Well, that's a good guy to have out there because when he's in the Wildcat, he depends on those guys blocking for him, so he goes out and blocks for somebody else.
After the penalty, the ball went at the 47-yard line. Dillon rifles across the middle and it's dropped by Thompson. Kiari Thompson, the leading receiver for the Tigers, who has 25 receptions this year, just dropped that one.
You know what? It's amazing. I'll show you where Thompson is. Here he is right here. He's the inside guy. But watch what happens. When you really hit a guy in the hands with the ball, he drops it. He's been having trouble, Dillon has, getting the ball on target. And once you do, watch what happens. Bonk.
So 3rd down and 22. Thompson's in motion. Dillon gonna run with it. And it's inside the 40-yard line to about the 37, where he's tackled by Andre Coleman. I don't think that was a design draw. I think he was looking for receivers, but nobody open.
You know, the funny thing, too, Tom, when you look at it and you see Grambling State, they just took the ball on 2 drives and without any trick plays went down the field, got close. Now you get in a position to score and you run some goofy play that ends up costing you about 25 yards. I don't understand that part.
So Fabian Carter in punt formation for the Tigers. House is deep for Southern. Carter's kick. Lefty. House lets it bounce and great coverage for the Tigers. They'll down it at about the 3-yard line. It was a 34-yard punt with no return. Vincent Evans made the good down for the Tigers. Earl Lucas, Natalie attired there in suit and tie, is the lead exterior design manager for the 2010 Ford Taurus. Ford's all-new flagship vehicle. It comes equipped with 10-class exclusive technologies like sync and voice-activated navigation. Earl Lucas has been with Ford more than 9 years, showing off the car to students from both schools.
You know, Tom, if I catch a touchdown pass today, I get that car.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Yeah, thank you.
If you catch a touchdown pass, I only get 2. One for you and one for Beverly. So far, Southern's had 2 possessions, 6 plays, and a total of 9 yards. And Brian Threet gets nothing as the Grambling front collapses him. So tough field position here for Southern after the punt was down deep in their own territory, and neither team able to score yet in this first quarter of the Bayou Classic. And our 1st and 10 line is brought to you by Energized Game Studios, BCFX, the Doug Williams edition, in stores now. In his own end zone, Bryant Lee. Pass is complete for a loss. Now the Grambling defense is swarming to the play. Stewart made that catch, and they were all over it.
All right, they went. What Southern did is they went 3 wide to the wide side of the field. And look at on this side, there's only 2. Stewart happened to be one of them. But they played this ball extremely well. There was just no chance at all for Stewart to make a play. And do you know who tackled him? About 90.
Christian Anthony.
Yeah.
Now 3rd down and 11 from their own 3-yard line. Lee rolling to his right. Pass was nearly intercepted. Castleberry made a break on the football, was not able to pick it off, but did deflect it incomplete, intended for Stewart, and now Southern will have to punt from its own end zone.
Tommy, when you throw this pass here, you got to throw this. Lee's got to throw it to the outside. If you throw it anywhere in the inside, that's Castleberry number 2. He makes a jump on the ball. Watch him. He sits there. They're trying to get the ball any way they possibly can to Stewart, but you can't throw it inside down coming out of the goal line.
So now Duran, who had his first punt blocked, will try to get it out of his own end zone to Thompson, who's deep for Grambling. That one nearly blocked, but it forces Thompson to backpedal into his own territory. Here's Thompson, tackled at about the 36-yard line. The punt covered 50 yards and 12 yards on the return before Andre Coleman made the special teams tackle. Well, one of many Bayou Classic traditions, the Friday night extravaganza, which features round 1 of the Battle of the Bands and a fraternity sorority step competition. Here's a little taste of what the attendees got to see last night. Southern's Delta Sigma Theta winning the sorority contest, and Southern's Kappa Alpha Psi in the fraternity division. This look brought to you by Southwest Airlines, proud sponsor of the Southwest Airlines Battle of the Bands. From the Wildcat formation, here's Pippen. And Pippen totes it inside the 25-yard line. Gain of 11 yards and a 1st down for the Grambling Tigers.
All right, now just settle down, Grambling, and don't try to do any trick plays. If you just line up and run at Southern, you're going to be fine. They ran the Wildcat with Pippen. That's just like Dillon, really. I mean, there's not much difference.
1st down for Grambling State. Pippen again from the Wildcats. 2 good results on the Wildcat. Direct snap to Pippen, takes it inside the 20, where he's tackled by Gary Chapman.
I get the feeling sometimes when I look at the Grambling State run the football, they're not satisfied with 5 yards on 1st down. It opens up your entire offense when you're into 2nd and 5.
Here's Dillon back at quarterback. And in the shotgun on 2nd down. Handed to Warren. Warren stopped just short of the 1st down.
You know, I asked when we talked to Dillon yesterday, we were talking to him about his offensive line. And I said, you know, just your feeling about the offensive line. He said, they know that at any time I can go. And there's a thing that the coach told him when he goes back to pass. It's 1, 2, me. That means me, I go. And this offensive line knows to stay on their blocks. They're doing a great job.
Counterplay on 3rd down and 2 as Warren carries it across the 15-yard line for a Grambling State 1st down.
Now this is what we're talking about with this offensive line. You've got Phillips, Jackson, Smith, Boyd, and Robertson, guys up front. but they just stay with their blocks. And you watch these guys. I mean, they're once they get past their first lever, Rive Smith is number 61, is their center. An overachiever guy that can block extremely well.
Wildcat formation again. Pippen takes the direct snap and keeps, and Pippen tackled at the 1-yard line. Finally, Chapman and House able to prevent the touchdown, but it'll be a 12-yard gain on the play. The direct snap to Pippen.
Well, this is what I'm talking about, Tom. There's nothing fancy about it. It's a Wildcat formation, okay? It's a fake, and Pippen just keeps the ball. But look at the blocking up front. There's nobody. He gets to this outside the linebackers. The linebackers are way too deep.
Again from the Wildcat. Pippen this time stopped in his tracks back to the 8-yard line. It was Rogers, Demetric Rogers, that made the play on the Wildcat on Pippen.
Now that's a safety blitz. Demetric Rogers, number 45, is a safety. He's going to creep up on the right side. Look, there's nobody to block him, and he's got to make this tackle. If he doesn't make the tackle, then Pippen's got a chance to run with the ball outside.
After the loss, we're going to have second down and goal from the 8. Quarterback draw. Dillon. That's for a touchdown. He got some style points too, didn't he?
If you were going to tackle Dillon, you better, when we talk about hitting a guy high, we're talking about real high. And I don't know if anybody in that secondary can get that high, except for House. Boy, was that a neat run. You know, you look at Pippen, he knew he had touchdown. He went up and sacrificed his body.
So Harry Johnson will attempt the point after, as Dillon had the 8-yard touchdown run. And the point after is good. So Grambling scores on the Dillon 8-yard scamper, quarterback draw. Dillon now 3 carries, 30 yards, and the only score in the game.
Let's go, Bron. One shot.
For every tick of the clock.
The Ohio State Boys Championship on the line.
What's your bet?
For every bounce of the ball. For every shot I've ever taken.
Switch. Pick left.
They're always with me. That's what being there is all about.
Every day, people across America count on ADT to always watch out for their businesses. As a technology leader, we're constantly reinventing the way you think about security, helping you stay connected to your company and livelihood like never before. For over 130 years, we've been there when it matters most, for what matters most, and we always will be. Find out what ADT technology can do to protect your business. ADT, always there.
Red or black?
When you want to get away.
Both.
Enterprise will pick you up and get you going to romantic weekends. Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Coach Romeo, these Coors Light cold activated cans just told me the beer's cold.
Yeah, they told me they were excited and they were happy.
Wait, the cold activated cans told you they were happy?
Sure.
Did the cans tell you anything else?
They said congratulations.
When the mountains turn blue, your beer is cold and ready for kickoff.
Coach, if all of your cold activated cans can talk, what happens when you open your fridge?
Generally, there's hoopla involved.
Hoopla?
Welcome back to the State Farm Bayou Classic. State Farm, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Mel Dillon with the quarterback draw caps a 7-play, 36-yard drive, as Grambling did what Grambling does best, kept it on the ground the entire drive, all 7 plays on the ground, and now Southern tries to regroup. Johnson to kick off for the Grambling State Tigers, and it's a squib. And Southern will have pretty good field position. They'll start from their own 46-yard line, so the squib kick didn't pay off for Grambling. It was Evan Alexander that collared it for Southern. Well, I know that it was a little reunion yesterday when you spoke with Pete Richardson, the Southern coach. Look at the Buffalo Bills. Look at that handsome gentleman on the back row. There he is. What form what form. Paul McGuire, the punter for the Bills. Pete Richardson was a defensive back for the Bills. They played on the same team for a couple of years together. And the dean of SWAC coaches, Pete Richardson, from your hometown too, Youngstown, Ohio.
Yeah, and his mother still lives there. She lives a little bit short of Cardinal Mooney High School. I can mention that's the other Catholic school. Right. I went to Urson, but yeah, his mother's still there. And Pete played in Youngstown South High School. And I'll tell you what, that guy has not changed. I hadn't seen him since 1970, and I'm telling you, he hadn't put on a pound or lost a pound. Everybody wants to know what kind of diet he's on.
Hard-nosed player, wasn't he?
Man, that's why this team is disciplined. And every one of the players you talk from Southern, they said patience and discipline, and you'll be fine.
Brian Threed got 4 yards on first down. Here's Lee. In the shotgun formation, and plenty of time. Heaves it downfield, and it's snagged by Matthews. There's the tight end, Warren Matthews, with his first reception of the game. It goes for 31 yards.
Boy, you know, this is what we talked about in the beginning, in the opening. He is the third guy inside is going to be Matthews. And watch what he has done for this football team. Watch where the ball is thrown, first of all. Up in the air. Now, he's 6'3", goes up, gets the ball. He slipped, he hit something coming down. He hurt his leg. But Warren Matthews has made a huge difference in this offense. And he's made a huge difference for Jamoris Stewart, number 88, because without this guy, Jamoris Stewart might not have 69 catches and almost 1,000 yards.
He might not have that smile on his face all the time that Jamoris does, because Matthews has taken off the pressure. So a big injury as he is helped from the field. And this could be a costly loss for Southern. Evan Alexander, 6'3", 250. In his 5th season from here in New Orleans, will replace Matthews at the tight end spot.
Now, Evan Alexander, number 81, is an excellent blocker, but he doesn't have the speed nor the hands that Matthews has.
On first down, give it to Holloman. And Gary Holloman with his first carry of the game. Tackle made by Derek Johnson, the middle linebacker of Grambling State.
You know, the one thing that Coach Broadway said to us, and it just seemed, you know, because Southern is a passing team, the first thing he said that we have, in order to win this game, we have to stop the run, which they've done so far. 2nd down and 9. Lee's pass over the head of his intended receiver and incomplete. He had a lot of steam on that one, too much so as it flies over the head of all his intended receivers. Not sure even who he was aiming for. And neither did they. This thing was so fast and so high. He was trying to hit Stewart again. I mean, his first look is always to Stewart, and it's to the defense. If he ever catches in Grambling State with a man-on-man coverage with Stewart, he's going there.
3rd down and 9. Lee on the crossing route, it's incomplete. It was intended for Allen, Curry Allen, and incomplete.
Well, you know, this makes a decision for Southern because their field goal kicker inside the red zone is 1 out of 7, Tom.
Including a miss today.
Including a miss today. It just changes the complexion of your offense. Now you've got to really think 4th down. I've got to go for it. I mean, we're going to pin Grambling State down if we don't get it. But you just can't afford to make that many mistakes. I'm sorry, son, but you're not going to be kicking many field goals today.
So they're going to go for it on 4th and 9 with 5 wide receivers. Grambling showing the blitz. Lee's pass nowhere near Stewart, the intended receiver.
I mean, I looked at Lee. Lee looked at Stewart like I was expecting you to come back to the ball. But even if he did, the ball was way short of any target.
So Grambling will take over. Both of these schools, of course, known for some famous alums in the NFL. And several of the players have aspirations to make it there. Here is a list of some of the notables from Grambling, including Hall of Famer Doug Williams is here today, the Super Bowl MVP. Everson Walls. Grambling take over now from the 17-yard line. Dillon, who has scored the only touchdown of the game. Stopped after a short gain by Marcus Clark. Maybe give him a yard on the play.
Well, that time they did stop him and kept him inside from running. But everybody else is running.
This is Walker who's running. And Walker breaking tackles for a first down close to the 30-yard line. Gain of 12, first down, Grambling. Alan Baugh had him, but it looked like they had him wrapped up for a short gain, and then he escaped.
Well, that was Marcus Clark, number 53, is the linebacker. I mean, hit him solid in the hole, and you've got to wrap him up.
That time they do wrap up Walker, stopped him. Rogers with the hit right at the line of scrimmage. Final seconds of the first quarter. And that'll be it. So the first quarter is in the books with Grambling State leading Southern 7-0. And we'll return to the State Farm Bayou Classic right after these messages from your local NBC station. Ready to start the second quarter from the Superdome, the State Farm Bayou Classic, and here are State Farm first quarter stats. Oh, dominated by Grambling. 9 first downs to 1. In fact, 32 of Southern's 45 yards came on a 32-yard pass from Lee to Matthews. Those stats brought to you by State Farm. For your insurance and financial needs, call a neighborhood State Farm agent today. Dillon with a handoff to Warren. Frank Warren. Now, a nice run. As we said multiple times, this is what Grambling does well, as they pound the ball down the field. Dimitri Rogers made the tackle, not until Warren had first down yardage.
Well, they got 2 running backs, Warren and Walker has 7 touchdowns. Warren has 5, and they both average over 5.5 yards a carry. So they just share the load.
Coming in, Walker had gained 588 yards and Warren 760, so 1,200 yards between them. And counting as Frank Warren gets another first down all the way to the 45-yard line of Southern. That's a gain of 15 as we go down to Lewis.
All right, Tom, thanks a lot. A lot of anticipation here in the building for halftime when the Southwest Airlines Battle of the Bands will happen. I've got both drum majors from both schools, and we'll start with you, Brad Scroggins. This is your second year leading the team out on the field, but help everybody at home understand what the last week has been like. How about all the practice getting ready for today?
Well, you know, I'm going to tell you, it's very hard. You know, it's not anything easy. A lot of people, they say sometimes the band works harder than the football team. You know, every time we have to go in, you know, people have classes, so band practice normally starts around 3:30, and then if you have a class conflict, some people come later, but it's 3:30 to about 6:30. Then 6:30 we go to the cab, we eat lunch or whatnot. We got to come right back around 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock. And I tell you, man, sometimes depending between the band and the uniform room, working on music, we may not get out of that band room to 12 o'clock in the morning. And then you got to concentrate on your homework. You got to get it done and stay on top of your business.
So a lot of things happening there. And Tevin, to you, you're a sophomore. You were just selected as the drum major for this year. First of all, how were you selected? Tell me about the process real quick.
Well, sir, you got to show good leadership skills, high excellence, and good academics. You know, you can't do nothing if you ain't got the grades.
And are you nervous?
Yes, sir.
No joke. All right, a handshake, guys, and good luck to both of you. We'll see you at halftime for the Southwest Airlines Battle of the Bands. Nerves, 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 Tom.
Right. How about you, Lewis? Are you nervous?
I am after that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Walker stopped. Walker had been ripping off big chunks of yardage until that stop, and there's a flag on the play. There's Matthews, the tight end of the Jaguars, and one of the valuable receivers being taken off the field on the cart after that injury he made on the big reception. 32-yard catch.
You know, there's no reason to speculate, but this, he came down and it looked like he pulled
Legal
something.
formation on offense. Number 1, 5 men in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, second down.
One thing that Coach Richardson, I mean, has got to be really upset about is the poor tackling by Southern. I mean, these guys have missed an awful lot of tackles. On that last play where they got a penalty is the first time they really tackled anybody.
Second down and 9 after the penalty for the illegal formation. Dillon in the pocket finds his receiver Thompson. 3 men around him, and yet Dillon threaded the needle to Thompson for the big game.
Thompson is a slot receiver, and this is just a pretty play, because what Dillon does, he's going to look off. Here is Thompson sitting in the middle. Now watch what he does. He's going to go down and sit right there, and right between two safeties, and one of them happens to be House and Chapman, and makes the catch. It's a perfect throw.
20-yard gain. And timeout. Grambling threatening to add to its lead. Southern takes timeout.
Cheez-It.
The State Farm Bayou Classic is brought to you by Cheez-It. Cheez-It, the big cheese. By BCFX, the Doug Williams edition. Brought to you by Energized Game Studios. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. I bet on him at the fairgrounds once.
Well, you know, you were talking about you're into horses. I just bought him. You got a share.
Southern band staying warm in preparation for their battle of the bands at halftime against their Grambling counterparts. From the Wildcat formation. Thompson. Touchdown. Had to wait for the signal, but he got into the corner of the end zone. Thompson from the Wildcat formation takes it 14 yards for the second Grambling score.
All right, they're going to take the slot guy who is Thompson, and they're going to bring him. He is right here. Watch, they're going to bring him in motion, and then they hand the ball to him. The interesting part about this, look at, there are no white shirts wide. You've got to have a linebacker out there or a safety. There was no one there, and Thompson just, I mean, really almost untouched into the end zone.
Johnson adds the extra point. In Grambling, they had 5 rushes for over 10 yards each on that drive, including the touchdown by Thompson. And they go up 14-0 on the Jaguars of Southern. Thompson into the end zone. Tigers up 2 scores. Number 15, Kiari Thompson scoring the touchdown, taking the handoff from Pippen in the Wildcat formation. 14-0 Grambling. And they're deep. Wilson and Cushingberry for Southern. They need to get something going. They need a big return. They got one to open the game and couldn't capitalize on it. Here's Johnson to kick off. Little pop-up kick, short. Taken by Cushingberry to the 35-yard line.
Cushingberry took the opening kickoff and ran about 70 yards with the ball. They said, okay, you know what? No more. Short kicks.
Yeah. Well, coming up at halftime, you can vote for your favorite band performance, so get your cell phones ready. All you have to do is text your choice to 51515. Text G for Grambling or S for Southern. Standard text messaging rates apply. 12:20 to go second quarter, and then the battle of the bands at intermission. Southern needs to get something going here. Down 14-0. Lee hands it off to Threet. Makes a pretty nice run out of it after he was hit behind the line of scrimmage. They'll mark him right at about the first down marker.
Look at how the defense leans towards Stewart. Take a look, Tom. When you look at this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and here's Stewart. And all these 4 guys are leaning to that side of the field. They're not covering him, but they're leaning if they have to cover him.
Threet carries into Grambling territory before Nigel Copeland makes the stop. So the running game starting to click now for the Jaguars. That one, Southern just their second first down of the game. Holloman, and he breaks free up the middle. Holloman. TJ McCord was first to hit him. That's a 14-yard gain.
Look at the offensive line. Chin Young is the center, number 61. Stewart, 67. And Davis, 73. When you take a look at this and look at Grambling State's defense, they're playing pass, not run. So what is Southern doing? They're just going to run the football until they get him back out of that defense.
Holloman, tackled by Anthony. Southern taking a page here from the Grambling playbook. And has a good drive going on the ground. Anthony being held there. Still made the tackle.
You know how much ground he just covered? He covered 6 yards down the line of scrimmage to make the tackle.
With a guy hanging onto his jersey. Lee escapes one man and makes a nice run.
And you know who comes in and makes the tackle? Not a firm tackle, but makes the tackle and saves the touchdown? Christian Anthony from back on the other side. Of course, Lee ran back to him. But Christian Anthony's sitting there. When we were talking to him yesterday, Tom, is he enjoyed the time? He's the kind of guy that lights up the whole room. Watch him on this play. All right, he's on the other side of the field. Now he sees Lee running with the football. Watch him make the tackle. That's Christian Anthony.
Still, it's a Southern first down at the 23-yard line of the Tigers. Here's the Wildcat formation for Southern. Holloman. Flag is down as he is taken to the turf at the 20-yard line. And a hold against the Jaguars. So they had the good drive going, and now a big mistake on the holding penalty.
I think it's, they held Robinson, number 91, I believe, and it's going to be in the middle of the line of scrimmage. Yeah, there is on the you can't. Whoops. And there's another hold there, and that's by the new tight end, Alexander, who took Matthews' place. But there was also a hold in the middle of the field. So they had 2 shots at it.
Christian Anthony is going to have to go to a tearaway jersey or something.
Anytime.
All right, Lewis, right after this play, we will send it down to you. 1st and 20. Lee rolling and delivering. Pass caught by Cushenberry. As we check in with Lewis.
All right, Tom. Well, I drifted back to the Saints x-ray room, and that's where I found Warren Matthews down there having his right ankle x-rayed. He said that his cleat got stuck in the turf, and then he heard a snap and a pop. Not quite sure what the extent of that injury is, but they're looking at those x-rays, and we'll hopefully have an answer a little bit soon, in a few minutes.
All right, Lewis, a snap and a pop is not good. How much of a factor will that be in the Southern offense without Matthews, their second receiving threat? Lee heaves it into coverage and finds his man. He got it deep, and it's good for the Southern touchdown. The pass to Curry Allen, caught by Allen, the senior from St. Francisville, Louisiana, 31 yards. And Southern, when they needed a drive to get a score, get it on the pass to Curry Allen.
All right, Curry Allen is the guy inside, but watch what happens here. Look at everybody as they're looking at Stewart. Look at Allen. He runs right down the middle of the field. All you have is a safety to cover him, and he never gets there. The safety was McCord. He never gets to him. When you have one-on-one coverage, go to that guy.
Extra point is good by Josh Duran. So Curry Allen got behind the safety, T.J. McCord, for the first Southern touchdown of the game. They needed it badly, and they get it to make it a 14-7 game.
I faced one of the toughest challenges of my life right here. I couldn't swim, but I can still hear my drill instructor today. Don't quit. So I jumped in, apprehensive and scared out of my mind, but I came up a Marine.
The few, the proud, the Marines.
With my Nuvi phone, it's easy to stay in touch with friends.
With my Nuvi phone, I feel like a local no matter where I go.
With my Nuvi phone, I can take calls from my friends while I'm driving to them.
Sunday night. Wow. Ray Lewis and the Ravens.
Curry Allen with a touchdown catch to put Southern on the board. Nice looking drive for the Jaguars that time, mostly on the ground, and then the pass to Allen for the clincher. So Durant is set to kick it off. Taken at about the 10-yard line by Bell. Look out. And Bell on a cutback and tripped up right into the field.
All right, let's go back and look at this touchdown. Curry Allen is going to come downfield. He's the inside slot man, and the guy that's covering is T.J. McCord. But watch on this play, folks. There are the two guys. Watch what McCord does. I'll get you to it. Right, stop. No, one more, a little bit further, and then stop it. Boom, right there he's beaten. Because what you now have is Allen already by McCord, and it's touchdown. And that's what we're talking about at the beginning, about how Lee can read defenses. And he read one-on-one coverage. As soon as Allen had him beat, it was gone.
Third touchdown catch by Allen this season. But then Grambling comes back, and Bell gives him a 41-yard kickoff return. So good field position as they hand it to Warren. And Frank Warren breaking tackles, still on his feet, and finally tripped up at the 34-yard line. Another nice run, 19 yards by Frank Warren. Warren and Walker each averaging over 10 yards a carry early in the game.
This is a great run, but watch how many guys missed the tackles. Look at here. He's hit there. He's tackled. He loses a man. I mean, I understand, you know, that Warren runs very well. And Warren is only 200 pounds. But somebody's got to tackle a guy.
Here's Warren again. Frank Warren. 5 or 6 yards on first down. Marcus Clark stopped him. And today's 1st and 10 line brought to you by Energized Game Studios, BCFX, the Doug Williams edition. In stores now.
Just remind you of the Southern drive?
Yeah.
Okay, let's run a little bit. Now maybe we might throw one. Might.
Both Walker and Warren in the backfield now with Dillon. Pitches it to Warren. And Southern defended that one well for a loss of a couple. Demetric Rogers coming up from a safety spot to play it and cause a loss of 2.
But what a nice play. Rogers makes a nice play, but watch how they force the quarterback Dillon to throw. Here comes Dillon out. Defensive end stops. That was Teddy Jones, number 87. He stops, makes the quarterback pitch, and then you've got Rogers to make the tackle. That's very nice.
Hey, sir. Sir.
Maybe Greg Dillon might have some blood. Looks like he's gotten the okay.
What Butler doesn't like is they slowed down his football team.
Yeah. 3rd down and 6. Dillon rolling. His pass is wide of his intended receiver Phillips and is incomplete.
Well, what Dillon has to do is when he's on the roll like that, and he knows that, he's got to get himself set and to get himself in a football position where he can throw the ball downfield. I mean, you just because your guy looks like he's open, you've got to set yourself to throw the ball. I mean, nobody could have caught that ball. And they're going for it.
On 4th down and 6. So Grambling will go for it 4th and 6. The ball at the 30-yard line of Southern. Here's Dillon.
Oh, the blitz is on.
He got away again, and he has a receiver, and he threw it over his head incomplete. Jesse Smith was absolutely by himself on the sideline. So on 4th down, Broadway sees a misfire from his quarterback Dillon. Ball goes to Southern. Anika Noni-Rose.
Well, Tom, she is here enjoying the festivities of this Bayou Classic, and Anika, it looks like it's going to be an exciting new movie, lots of buzz about it, but why don't you take us on the inside of the filming and the voiceover work that you have to have for an animation film?
Well, it's very different from when you do live action because you're sort of in there by yourself. So imagine you doing the newscast, but without me. It's just you and the microphone. So everything that you're doing, whether it's running or jumping or screaming, is all alone. So you're sort of creating it organically.
And for your career, really, you're breaking new ground, correct?
Yes, I am. I'm really excited. I've got a lot of firsts with this. It's the first hand-drawn animation in 20 years, first princess. I get to be the first black princess, which is amazing. And I'm also the first princess to voice it and do the vocals for the singing as well. So I'm ecstatic.
Now, you went to Florida A&M University, which means you kind of get this big black college football weekend here. So what are your experiences and what are you taking away from this game between Southern and Grambling?
Well, I am a rattler, so I'm coming with a critical eye for the Battle of the Bands. Y'all aren't ready for that? You know, this is the best of what black college is all about. When you talk about getting out of your classes and releasing some stress and coming together to watch the teams and watch the band and just be together as a community and enjoy yourself, it's fantastic, and there's nothing like this kind of camaraderie.
Nika Noni Rose, good luck with the new movie we'll be watching.
Thank you.
All right, Tom.
You know why she's so successful? Is she beautiful or what?
I say. 23 yards on that run by Bryant Lee, and now they hand to Holloman, and Southern's on the move again. Their first 4 possessions, they had 55 yards, no points. Their last possession, 66 yards and a touchdown, and on the move again.
And this is a no-huddle offense. I mean, they're not a speed-up offense, but they're no-huddle. What they try to do is keep Grambling from making any kind of substitutions on the field.
From the 39-yard line, it's 2nd down and 8. Screen pass set up to Cushionberry. Cushionberry sprinting inside the 10, knocked out of bounds at about the 2-yard line by Brunette Foster. Foster saved a touchdown on the Lee run a moment ago and saves one there, but still a 37-yard gain to Cushionberry on the screen.
He is this middle guy. You watch him go up in the air. I mean, this is unbelievable. Watch how it looks like it's going to be intercepted from where we were. Cushionberry, now watch the explosion. He is down the field. It was a touchdown-saving tackle. But Cushionberry, I'm going to tell you what, he showed us something on a kickoff return. He showed us something on the screen.
Showed us some speed. That's what he showed us, didn't he? Yeah. He just explodes upfield. And limping to the sideline, though, after that big play. Well, but he gives a Southern 1st and goal.
Sorry, Tom, but they can't afford to lose this guy. They already lost Warren Matthews, their starting tight end, for this game, and now Cushionberry is limping.
So Bryant Lee has 1st and goal at the 2-yard line. See his numbers on the day. Reed is the tailback. Gets the handoff. Hit behind the line and lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage. Penetration by Cliff Exuma, the outstanding linebacker of the Tigers.
Cliff Exuma is their leading tackler. He's 87 tackles. He's tied in the conference. He is number 50, and you watch him shoot the gap. Exuma is this guy right here, and you just watch what he does. He reads it, he's gone. He's in the backfield. No one has a chance to block him. He's the one that doesn't really make the tackle, but slows the play down.
Exuma from North Miami Beach High School, where he was 3rd team All-Dade as a tight end in his high school career. 2nd and goal. Lee stumbled coming away after he threw the ball out of the end zone. I don't know if he was stepped on by one of his offensive linemen or what, but he stumbled coming away from center.
Well, he stumbled coming away from the center, but the thing about it is you had 2 guys in the same spot. I know you want to get the ball to Stewart, but just take a look when he comes out. Yeah, his own man steps on him, he trips up, but take a look on the outside. 81 Alexander and 88 Stewart are both in the same spot. First, and he has no chance to throw the ball.
So it's 3rd down and goal. Kept by Lee. Powers for the score. Actually, Holloman. It was Holloman.
You know what you're looking at by Holloman is explosion, Tom. And once he comes out, watch it. He's in a wildcat and he sees that opening. As soon as he sees that hole, he's gone.
So Holloman taking the direct snap in the Wildcat formation, and an extra point to tie it from Duran. And blocked by Grambling, and then Castleberry recovers, and so the extra point is no good, and it's a 1-point game. Grambling still on top. They lead Southern 14-13. Gary Holloman from the Wildcat with a touchdown run. Holloman accepting congratulations on the sideline after his touchdown run from the Wildcat formation. But the extra point block is 14-13.
I'm going to give you a quiz question. Who do you think blocked the kick?
You know, if you're in doubt, you just say one name, right? You'll see it. We'll see it right after this kickoff by Duran. Bell and Will Hyde to the deep end, and it's recovered by Grambling at around the 40-yard line as they do a little squib again.
You know, we talk about all the things that Christian Anthony does, and I'm going to tell you, folks, this guy, he is right here, and I want you to see, he blocks this thing from the line of scrimmage. Watch him get up in the air. Up, 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 and that big paw, bam, the ball comes down, and he knocked it back to the kicker.
There's Christian Anthony, terrific player.
You look a little bit like Michael Strahan to you.
Yeah, he does.
I'll tell you, he plays a lot like
it looks like him on the field, too. First down run by Cornelius Walker. Short gain. Tackled by the center of the Southern line. Casey Narcisse was there. There's his season stats. 6 sacks and 5 interceptions. You ever seen anything like that?
I didn't realize it, but the thing about him that's most amazing, that he's always in a three-point stance. He never stands up. He said, I can't imagine what I would be if I stood up.
Pass complete from Dillon to Kerry Thompson. It's a gain of 30 yards as Grambling goes to the air for a big game.
You know, Grambling State came down that last time they were running the football. Don't forget about their passing game. Kerry Thompson, we saw him on a reverse get the ball. We see him receiving the ball.
Flag down, stop that play.
False start, number 73 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Quint Roberts with a false start puts Grambling back 5 yards.
You know this is true. Coaches hate that. You're in a drive and you get an offensive lineman moving. Just sit down and pay attention to the snap count.
Just under 4 minutes to go in the half. Walker just inside the 30-yard line of Southern.
This is a very, very good running offense. And the nice part about running the football, everybody says it, and you know it. You got to run the ball if you want to pass the ball. Well, it's really true with this football team.
Dillon on a quarterback draw. Tried to get to the outside and could not. Got back to the line of scrimmage only. Well played by the Southern defense. Pierre Warford comes up from a corner spot as Dillon scrambling away.
This is a nice play by Warford because he is a true freshman, and he stayed at home. That's the thing that made it. He didn't overcommit himself. He just waited for Dillon to get out to him.
Third and long for the Tigers. Dillon looks to the sideline for the play call after they survey the defense. Dillon flushed from the pocket and slammed down by Holloway. Dan Holloway from the defensive end spot when it looked like Dillon was going to escape again.
You know, it almost looked like Dillon didn't see him. Now, how do you not see 6'2", 260-pound Holloway? Look at this. Holloway is coming out. Look at the speed of Holloway. Dillon, I mean, it's almost like he didn't even see him.
Loss of 13 yards on the big play by Holloway. So Fabian Carter now will punt on 4th down, and House Jason House will await it. Jason House, quite a remarkable guy, isn't he, for an athlete? In high school, he said, you know, that high jump looks kind of interesting. I think what it'd be like to jump into that foam. And he jumped 6'10" on his first try.
As a freshman in high school.
Flag down.
Then he goes to college, and as a freshman, he jumps 7'3". And a man, I'm going to tell you, the man is not 6 feet tall.
Delay of game call against Grambling. As you see what House has done in his high jump career. So Carter sends it toward House. House is just going to let it hit. Takes one bounce. And finally into the end zone. Now in college, it's where the ball is. You can go into the end zone as long as you keep the ball out. The ball got into the end zone, and that will be the touchback. And Southern will take over. Well, coming up, the U.S. Bank halftime report. Bill Patrick in the New York studio with college football scores and highlights from the top 25. Peter King with news and notes from around the NFL. Plus a look at tomorrow night's game between the Steelers and Ravens. And, of course, the Southwest Airlines Battle of the Bands coming up at halftime. Are you ready for that Battle of the Bands, by the way? It'll be your first time, right?
Yeah, and I'm not moving. I'm not moving. I mean, when they asked you, could you do this game? And I said, can I watch the bands? And they said, yes. And can I work with Tom Hammond? I said, yes. I said, okay, I'll do it. But this is an exciting game. One thing you did learn about this game, I don't care how far ahead you are.
Yeah.
Grambling State took a 14-0 lead.
They dominated early, and then now it's been Southern.
Amazing.
Brian Lee keeps that time. Down, approaching the final minute of the first half. Second down, and a couple. Lee wings it complete across the 30-yard line to Evans. That'll stop the clock with a first down.
We talked about Jamora Stewart, and here's the guy that's 69 catches going into this game, leading the SWAC, and he's caught one pass today for a -1 yard.
So he hasn't been a factor. Plus Warren Matthews, their tight end, who is so top receiver, one of the top receivers, hit as he delivers the pass. It was Anthony all over it. Will it be ruled an incomplete pass or a fumble?
Well, Christian Anthony has such great speed. Look at him. Yeah, I got it. Watch him come around the end. Hello, goodbye, and let me hit the quarterback. This ball is being thrown. This ball is being thrown. Watch his arm. His arm is going forward now. And as long as that ball goes forward and his arm going forward, that's a forward pass.
Recovered by Grambling. Pete Richardson unhappy with that as it's ruled a fumble, and Grambling recovers. Now, there is no replay. There is no replay official. Charlie Brewer was the man that recovered it after Anthony caused it. And Grambling has a chance to score here before halftime. There's 38 seconds left.
Chris Brown, the left tackle, said, where'd he go? Yeah, he went back and got the quarterback.
Dillon, sacked. Holloway and Miller with a sack of Greg Dillon.
That's the other 90. Now that's Miller's 5th sack. He had 4 coming into this game. Between those two 90s, they had 10. Now watch this, straight up the middle. They just didn't block him. You ain't gonna one-on-one block him. And Jordan Miller with his 5th sack.
Loss of 12 on the play. And timeout taken with 29 seconds showing on the clock for this first half. First half that was dominated early by Grambling, and then Southern with the momentum until that last play ruled a fumble and recovered by the Tigers.
Grambling has 2 timeouts remaining, so and their best game is their running game, not their passing game. And you know, you're at the 36-yard line. You want to get yourself at least in field goal position to get this to a 4-point game.
Brian Lee, the quarterback of the Jaguars, can only watch from the bench.
Hey, one thing it did with Lee, it showed you how strong his arm really is, because you got Anthony hanging on your arm, and he still had enough power to get the ball through. I thought it was throwing the ball.
Well, these are the two highest scoring teams in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. The SWAC, Dillon in trouble again. That's an incomplete pass intended for Frank Warren. And 22 seconds on the clock. Holloway again wreaking havoc in the Tiger backfield.
Holloway is there, but you know who the guy is? Jordan Miller, number 90, is the guy that's covering. You're going to see Holloway in rushing, okay? Look at Jordan. Watch number 90. He makes him make the decision to throw the ball back to the outside. Jordan just stayed along the line of scrimmage and made the play.
Third down and 22. Grambling going backwards after recovering the fumble. Dillon pumps once, throws it up, incomplete. Knocked away, and lucky it wasn't intercepted.
Barry, Timothy Barry was number 22, the guy that had a chance at the ball and dropped it. Of course, he also got hit by his own man.
Yeah, there's Barry.
There's 22, and they're fighting over the ball.
Intended for Bakari Maxwell, but blanketed by defenders, bringing up a fourth down with 16 seconds remaining.
Timeout, Grambling.
Grambling takes a timeout. They'll have 16 seconds here, and then it looks like on fourth down they're going to just try to eat as much time as they can.
He's going over to see Broadway, and Broadway saying, Dillon, let me explain something to you. Don't you do anything stupid. If it isn't there, you throw that baby away, or just run the clock out. Because Southern still have 2 timeouts, with 16 seconds.
Well, 16 seconds left, and then the U.S. Bank halftime report with Bill Patrick in New York with college football scores and highlights from the top 25, some key games today. Peter King will have news and notes from around the NFL. He'll look at tomorrow night's game between the Steelers and Ravens, and what many people tune in for to the Bayou Classic, the Southwest Airlines Battle of the Bands.
I like Peter King. I like Peter King. Peter King, man, does his homework.
He's always got good information, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
So fourth down and 22. And Greg Dillon has trips to his right. Fourth down. Hail Mary to the end zone. And it's picked off. Intercepted by Chapman. Greg Chapman, one of the captains of the Southern defense on the Hail Mary play. With 6 seconds now left.
You're just hoping that this ball can get tipped. You got 3 receivers going downfield. The ball is thrown perfectly, but the problem is you got 5 defenders. And the one thing that you do is get that ball in front of you. Make sure that that ball is in front of you, and there's enough guys behind the receivers.
So well played by Southern after they had the turnover on the fumble. Grambling unable to do anything with it, and now a knee down to end the first half. So halftime here at the 36th Annual State Farm Bayou Classic, and our halftime score is Grambling State 14 and Southern 13. Now stay tuned for the U.S. Bank halftime reports, including the Southwest Airlines Battle of the Bands. That's coming up right after these messages and a word from your local NBC station.
For the Southwest Airlines Battle of the Bands. And first up, it's Southern, the marching band from Jaguar Land. They're under the direction of Lawrence Jackson and sophomore drum major Tevin Coleman.
The world-renowned, the internationally famed, the Southern University Marching Band from Jaguar Land. The Southern University Marching Band is led by drum major Tevin Coleman from Alexandria, Louisiana. Show him some love.
The Battle of the Bands will continue in a little bit. And when we come back, Bill Patrick is in our New York studio with all of college football's highlights and scores.
It's halftime at the State Farm Bayou Classic. Still to come, the world-famous Grambling State University Tiger Marching Band. But before we send you back to the Super University Tiger Marching Band, back with that after these messages from your local station.
Brad Scoggins won the Southwest Airlines Battle of the Bands now continues with Grambling State. The Tiger Marching Band is under the direction of Dr. Larry Pennell and senior drum major Brad Scoggins.
Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the 2009-2010 world-famed Grambling State University Tiger Marching Band under the directorship of Dr. Larry Pennell. Assistant directors, Mr. Malcolm Spencer, Mr. Charles Lacey, Mr. Michael Hendricks, and Dr. Edwin Thomas. Now focus your eyes on the field at our dynamite drum majors as they take control. We have Louisiana's very own Twin Towers, hence the name that town's finest. Cadero Primetime Johnson, Geraldine, two whites to handle Hooper, and in the middle, our head drum major from Texarkana, Arkansas, the Raptor Showtime.
folks. Well, you've heard both bands, so now it's time to get out your cell phone and vote for your favorite band performance. Now, all you have to do is text your choice to 51515. Text G for Grambling and S for Southern. And always remember, standard text messaging rates apply. We'll have the results of that poll right after halftime. So Grambling leading Southern by 1, and the third quarter is right around the corner. Back to the Big Easy in just a little bit.
Orleans for the second half of the State Farm Bayou Classic.
Getting ready to start the third quarter at the Bayou Classic with Grambling State leading Southern 14-13. And Paul, that first half was sort of like two different games. Grambling really dominating, going up 14-0, looking like they were going to pull away in a blowout, and then back came Southern, only a blocked extra point difference here.
It's amazing they're both run the ball. We knew Grambling was going to run the football, okay? And now we're going to show you why. Walker, first of all, is a very excellent runner. But here's Dillon on this touchdown run. Look at this. I mean, airborne. Then we're going to see Walker on one of his runs. And then breaking tackle, Warren, who is the leading rusher in this game, he has 71 yards. And then they run an end around with Thompson. This is all running the football, 158 yards of it.
And, of course, Southern didn't run the football too badly themselves, known as a passing team, but they ran the football pretty well, too.
Yeah, that's the thing that surprised us more than anything else. We knew that Grambling State could run the ball, and we know, Southern has a little bit of a running game. But in order for them to get back into this ball game, they had to run the football.
And, Christian Anthony's had a big first half, too. We expected it from this defensive end who is so quick and so adept at all phases of the game, both intercepting and coverage and sacks and everything else. And he was a big factor, including a blocked extra point. So let's go down to Lewis Johnson now and get an update on what the coaches are thinking, and specifically Grambling's Rod Broadway.
All right, Tom, thanks a lot. Well, Coach, you guys jumped out to the early lead and then things kind of stalled out. What was the discussion at halftime? What are you hoping and needing to do here in the second half?
Well, we just need to play a little bit better. I thought we played fast and hard the first quarter, and then we started playing at their pace. So we got to continue to play as fast as we did in the first half. I mean, the first quarter, the second half, and if we can do that, we can be okay. And again, we missed some hot blitzes in the first half. We got to get rid of the ball. We took some sacks that we should have taken.
All right, thanks so much. Good luck. Tom?
All right, Lewis. And Pete Richardson over on the Southern sideline. One thing that was Southern's undoing was the kicking woes they had. They missed a 21-yard field goal. They had a blocked punt and a blocked extra point. So Duran, who is the kicker, had his problems in that first half.
Yeah, funny, Coach Broadway told us yesterday one of the first things that they have to do is control the kicking game, which they did, but on the other side of it, they blocked everything that Southern tried to do.
And that's a look at Bell, who had a nice return on one kickoff in that first half, as Duran sends it on its way to get the second half going. And mishandling it, still free. And it looks like Grambling was able to fall on it finally. As we take a look at our State Farm halftime stats. And in the Bayou Classic, Grambling with top rushing stats. But Southern has outpassed them, total yards in favor of the Tigers, as are the first downs. Today's stats brought to you by State Farm. For your insurance and financial needs, call a neighborhood State Farm agent today. So Grambling today, they've had 13 rushes for 10 yards or more. And here's another one. This is Frank Warren. That's the 14th rush for 10 yards or more by the Tigers today. To say they have been adept at running the football would be an understatement, huh, Paul? They really have.
I mean, it's just so unnecessary for the linebackers not to be where they're supposed to be. You just look at when Warren gets through the hole. Once he gets through the hole, he is not hit until he's already gained about 7 yards.
First down, Grambling, 42-yard line. Warren Stopped after a yard that time by Southern's defense.
You know what I really like about Grambling's running game is that the Warren run he just ran, what was 12 yards, 11, 12 yards. They come back with the same play. They're going to run it at you. If you don't stop it the first time, we're coming back on the second time. If you don't stop it the second time, we're going to run it right back at you again.
Right.
We have no secrets. They just said, here we are. We're gonna run the ball. Come get us.
Second down and 9. Dillon kind of goes over the top, and Warren breaks 3 tackles and is inside the Southern 40-yard line. Poor tackling by the Jaguars, and Warren gets 18 yards.
I can just believe that Richardson at halftime just had to say, you know what, we're not tackling anybody with any authority. Take a look at this. The first guy that missed, that's Clark. That's the second time we've showed him miss a tackle. Then he breaks 2 more tackles. We got a flag on this play.
Flag down as the pass from Dillon is off the hands of his intended receiver, and maybe House was the man that got a deflection on the play.
You know, this is, it's been a long time since I've seen this many missed tackles in a football game, and most of them by Southern.
Check out the penalty.
Offside on the defense, number 92, 5-yard penalty.
Don Holloway was offside. So the penalty against the Jaguars puts the ball at the 34-yard line, first down and 5. Dillon fakes the handoff, still has it. Chased from the pocket and gets rid of it as he is about to be tackled. Incomplete pass.
You know, you're talking about House and almost getting the tip on that ball, and you mentioned about high jumping. But, you know, this is the first year he's ever played safety, and he's got 8 interceptions so far this year. And here's a guy, he did play corner in high school, and he was an all-state corner. But he said, you know, last year I was a receiver. And I said, well, you know, tell me about the interceptions. House said, hey, I know how to run routes. And when I see these guys run routes, I know where they're going.
Second down. Dillon's pass caught by Thompson. But the pass sort of had him stumbling, and before he can make any gain out of it, Coleman is able to slam him to the turf. It'll bring up third down.
You know, both these teams, Tom, are so, in this game, have been so good coming out, going across the 50, and then once they get to the 30, it's like it's a different football team.
So, lost a yard on the last play, making it third down and 6. Blitz comes from Southern. Picked up. Dillon's pass on target and caught by Phillips. Van Phillips with a reception as Warford tackles him after 13 yards, but Grambling doing a good job of picking up the Southern blitz.
Oh, excellent blitz, but I'll tell you what, Phillips and Dillon connect. When you see Phillips, watch him, watch his hands. Just look at his hands. He snatches the ball, does not, and then brings it into his body. Does not catch the ball with his body. That was just a nice throw and catch.
Here's the Wildcat with Pippen handing it off to Batiste. And Batiste knocked out of bounds after he got about 5 yards on first. They've employed the Wildcat to pretty good use today. Usually direct snapping it to Rodale Pippen, who can either keep or hand off.
You know, you were talking about the blitz on that play and how well they picked it up, Tom. Look at this. I mean, they just stymied everybody right at the line of scrimmage, and Dillon had plenty of time.
Pippen keeps out of the Wildcat. And he's down to about the 12, 13-yard line. So Grambling on the move here to open the second half. Doing it with a mix of run and pass and Wildcat.
Too many different names. No, Dillon's back in there now.
Third down and only a yard. Cheeks in at fullback. Warren is the tailback in the eye. Pitch it to Warren. Warren gets a block in the corner and sprints for the touchdown. Frank Warren with his 6th rushing touchdown of the season from 13 yards out.
To be able to run like this in the open field, just take a look at up here on the outside. Look at the block he's going to get from Maxwell. Boom. Warren sees that hole, and as soon as he does, that's explosion. When he hit the 5, he exploded.
Thompson to attempt the point after. Or Johnson, I should say. R.A. Johnson. And right down the middle, R.A. Johnson hits the point after touchdown. And Grambling takes the opening kickoff of the second half and advances down the field to increase their lead. It was Frank Warren that got the touchdown. The State Farm Bayou Classic is brought to you by the all-new 2010 Ford Taurus. Come with it and drive one today. By BCFX, the Doug Williams edition, brought to you by Energized Game Studios. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. As you see the famous turducken being prepared at the Gourmet Butcher's Block in Gretna, Louisiana. Original creators of the turducken. It's turkey, duck, and chicken, deboned and intact, and then layered with 2 layers of sausage stuffing, a layer of cornbread stuffing.
You weren't supposed to catch me eating the turducken, Tom.
Well, it feeds about 20 people normally, Lewis. But
yeah, I've got all the people here asking me for some, and on all the trips we've made to New Orleans, this is the first time I've had a taste. It is something.
After you finished with it, it will now only feed about 10. Nelson returns the kickoff. And Southern will have it at the 25.
What was it, Madden wasn't satisfied with just a turkey? Can't you just have a turkey?
Turkey, duck, and chicken.
Wow.
Well, we won't hear from Lewis for a while. He'll need a nap, too, after eating all that. Southern now tries to answer the Grambling score to open the second half. It's 21-13 Tigers. Bryant Lee from the shotgun with a handoff to Threet, and he makes a nice run to the 35. As we said at halftime, Southern not known for their running game perhaps, but Threet with a nice run there, and they did a pretty good job of it in the first half. Southern with a slow start before they got it going in the second quarter.
And that's all due to really running the football. It set up the pass for the touchdown to Allen, but basically it was all running.
Second down 3. Lee with another handoff to Threet, and he breaks a tackle and then sprints down the sideline. Flag is down as he pounds it into Grambling territory. A gain of 18 yards if it stands.
You know,
on the play.
And that'll wipe out that nice gallop for a first down.
Holding number 78 on offense. 10-yard penalty. Second down.
It's Leo Manza called for the hold.
Leo Manza was injured. He was a backup guard, and now he was starting at the guard, or backup tackle, but he's starting at the guard position for Stewart.
Well, a crucial mistake there on the hold wipes out the 18-yard gain and makes it second down and long. Lee's going to keep. Nowhere to go. And taken down about at the line of scrimmage. So Grambling ready for the quarterback draw. And Jamarcus Savage was the first man to wrap up Bryant Lee.
But once you run up in there, you can't stop.
No dance, no dancing after that.
You don't have time to dance. You better get out of there in a hurry.
Just inside 10 minutes of the third quarter. Grambling opened the third quarter with a 9-play, 70-yard drive, 40 yards on the ground and 30 in the air. And Southern now facing a 3rd and 14 with a 5-wide receiver formation. Empty backfield for Bryant Lee. Grambling was showing a blitz, maybe a little antsy as the whistles sound.
Delay a game on this. I mean,
delay on Southern, yeah. A lot of mistakes today.
Boy, you know, and they were moving. They came out, they ran a play, it was really nice, and they had about a 15-yard run also. There was holding on the play.
Right.
So who knows if he would have gotten that 15-yard run. But now they made 2 huge mistakes in a row. And you can't do that when you really want to throw the ball. They've been able to run some, but they want to throw it. That's where they're at.
Delay of game. Timeout was called prior to the foul.
So timeout called before the penalty. And Pete Richardson doesn't know about that either.
Well, he actually is the guy that called the timeout. He said, you know, I don't understand why the flag went on, but they're going to give him credit for taking the timeout. They're going to charge Southern with the time because Richardson almost came on the field. He said, you know, officials are saying, I've got to pay attention to 22 guys and also you.
I think that's what he said.
You know, but you know what you're thinking. I'm over here. I'm the coach.
3rd down and 14. Again, the empty backfield for Bryant Lee, the all-time passing leader at Southern University. Hit as he releases the ball, and it's incomplete. Grambling able to get pressure. Intended for Stewart, but there was Christian Anthony again, and Lee never was able to get anything on the throw. Hit as he delivered.
All right, Christian Anthony, just take a look at it. He's coming back from the outside. Davis, number 73, is trying to block him. You cannot block him with one guy. You've got to put another guy on there. And when he sees Christian Anthony, that open backfield, he's gone.
Josh Duran's on the punt for the Jaguars. And Thompson is deep. Duran's punt chases Thompson all the way back to the 23-yard line. Thompson trying to break to the outside. Nice run back to the 47-yard line of Grambling, where they'll take over. Darian Prentice made the special teams tackle, but again, good field position for Grambling after a 24-yard return of a 55-yard punt.
Some airlines charge your bag up.
The pleasures of New Orleans, and one of the pleasures on Thanksgiving weekend, the Bayou Classic. Grambling dominating early, especially with their running game. Then Southern came back. It was a 1-point game at halftime, but the Tigers took the second half kickoff and scored. And in the Bayou Classic, it is Grambling taking over again, leading 21-13. And a first down run. It's Cheek, the fullback, his first carry of the game, and toting it to midfield.
Coming into this game, Cheek has had 4 carries. That's the token guy, Tom.
The poor fullback who does all that blocking, and his helmet gets so scarred up. Throw him a bone every now and then, Paul.
That's it. Well, but he played 10 games. He's got 5 carries now.
Second down for the Tigers. 7 to go for a first down. Walker. Cornelius Walker, short gain, bringing up a 3rd down for Grambling State.
Well, you know, the play before that, they gave it to Cheek and it was right up the middle, same hole. Now they come back and they give it to Walker, same hole. I mean, they will wear you out running at you, and then all of a sudden they go wide.
3rd down and 3. Dillon in the shotgun, flanked by Cheek and Walker. Quarterback draw. Dillon stepped out of a tackle and picks up the first down. Close to the 35-yard line of the Jaguars. That's a 9-yard scamper by Greg Dillon.
Well, Greg Dillon, there's a flag on this play. Greg Dillon's mouthpiece comes out as he's calling the plays. Watch this. Hello. Whoops. Whoop. Whoop. You can still run without your mouthpiece. And you got to catch the ball first. But again, here's Dillon going back to the outside.
Made a one-handed snag, didn't he?
Yeah.
Here's the Wildcats, and here's Pippen. Close to the 30-yard line, about the 32-yard line, where they'll mark it.
You know, one thing about this Grambling offense, and, you know, I just looked Spivey, number 88, is a wide receiver. All these wide receivers get downfield and block because it is a running football team.
First down line brought to you by Energize Game Studios, BCFX, the Doug Williams edition in stores now. Wildcat. Pippen About a yard. And that was Ball, the linebacker, that made the stop of Pippen. And so coming up, 3rd down and long for the Tigers.
It's one of the things I've been a little disappointed with Southern. I thought their linebackers would be more active than they are, and they're not in this game.
Into the sideline for the play call. James Spady is the offensive coordinator of Grambling. Dillon looks to the right all the way and throws it high and incomplete. That pass intended for Jefferson, and so 4th down for Grambling.
You know, it's one of those situations, you know, it's 3rd down and long, but with Dillon in there, he is not only a passer but a runner. And then when you see Southern get into a 6 defensive back set, you know they're only rushing 3 guys. You just expect Dillon to go ahead and go.
Fabian Carter will punt it toward House. And there's House standing on his 10. Straight up by Carter. Fair catch called for and made at about the 12-yard line by Jason House. We'll take a break. Grambling holding a 21-13 lead on Southern. As part of State Farm's ongoing commitment to education, it presented Grambling State and Southern with scholarship checks in the amount of $207,500 each. Over the years, State Farm's support of the Bayou Classic has generated over $2 million in scholarship funds and is just one of the many ways that State Farm is committed to being there. And to thank someone you know for being there, visit www.thanksforbeingthere.com. Southern with a 1st down screen pass to Allen. Netted him a yard or 2, not much more than that, as it was well defended by the Tigers with Lance Castleberry coming up in a hurry.
That's a play when you throw it out there. It's almost like a handoff or a toss going down the line of scrimmage for the quarterback. But what has to happen is the receiver's got to break 1 tackle, and if he doesn't break the 1 tackle, they don't go anywhere with it.
2nd down. Lee lays it up down the sideline, and it's nearly picked off. Intended for Stewart, who's been held in check by the Grambling defense today. Nigel Copeland running with Stewart step for step and deflecting the ball away.
I asked Coach Broadway, I said, which one of your defensive backs could go man-to-man? And he said Nigel Copeland. And you're going to see Nigel Copeland here. He plays the ball extremely well. I don't know why he didn't catch it, but he had Stewart locked up.
Stewart's been a non-factor today. One catch for -1.
You know, you just would expect more.
That pass intended for Stewart is off target. Was behind him from Bryant Lee, and another stalled drive by Southern, and now they're going to have to punt deep in their own territory.
And here's Copeland again. Nigel Copeland. Just watch this. This ball should, I mean, it was coming. Stewart stopped going in. He has to complete that route. He's got to come back in across the middle. He didn't.
Stewart, one of the players mentioned as a possible draftee by the NFL, but has had a non-factor game today so far. Duran will punt to Thompson. Line drive punt hits at the 50, bounds into the arms of Thompson. Got a block that draws a flag for a block in the back, and is down at the 47-yard line of Southern, but they'll mark off the penalty against the Tigers. Demetrius Bentley. And Stewart talking on the sideline. He's been unable to get loose today. Been such a factor in the passing game for Pete Richardson.
There's no foul for blocking the back.
No foul for blocking the back. I think maybe they really had his head in front when he made that block. Be lots of time to think it over. We'll take a break. It's 21-13. Thanks to everyone for voting in today's Battle of the Bands poll. Here are the results. 43% Grambling. Southern garnered 57%. So their celebration is in order for the Southern Band as they celebrate winning the Battle of the Bands. On the football scoreboard, however, the Jaguars trail. Pete Richardson was not happy with that last flag being picked up.
Well, he's saying if you're going to throw a flag, someone had to see a foul. How do you pick it up?
Either it is or it isn't. Huh?
Exactly.
Warren had a little daylight, got a good gain on first down, give him 6. Tackled by Tim Berry.
Isn't it amazing? They just keep going in the same spot. They're going between the 2 guards and the center. They're not running anything they do wide is outside of the tackles. It's not inside between the guard and the tackle. It's between the 2 guards and the center, and that's where they're working.
Warren has gained now over 100 yards today. And it's Frank Warren. Looks like he has first down yardage. Grambling goes back to successfully running the football.
And they're doing it right over the center and the 2 guards, Smith, Jackson, and Boyd. There's really no secret in what they're doing. Watch. Look at the 2 guards and the center. They get a double team block, and it's right up the middle.
Frank Warren is the only setback. First down play. Dillon hands to Warren. Hit in the backfield, still managed to get a couple of yards, but didn't make the line of scrimmage. Stopped for a loss by Corey Ray.
Now we're seeing a little, that's what I've been waiting for all day long, is a little linebacker action. Just take a look at the linebackers. They're on this side of the field. I'm going to just circle over here so you understand where they're coming from. Watch this. Look at Corey Ray making the tackle in the backfield. That's reading and reacting.
Dillon passing into the flat. Caught by Jefferson, who's pushed out of bounds. Short of the first down. Pushed out by Warford.
What I don't like about the passing game for Grambling is they're throwing those like screen passes, slip shots on the outside, those bubble passes and things. When if you're going to throw against this team, now that you've got them up on the line of scrimmage, go deep. At least once go deep.
On third and long, but Grambling's been pretty good today converting third downs. Dillon's pass incomplete.
Oh, no.
Intended for Jefferson, who took a shot after the ball had gone behind him. Coleman that gave him the shot.
Want to hear something? Listen. Now, there is where you can throw a flag.
He didn't even get the completion, though. Jefferson took the hit. Nothing to show for it. So Carter will punt on 4th down. But they continue to keep Southern bottled up deep in their own territory for most of this third quarter. Now 3.5 minutes left. Nice punt by Carter. Fair catch. House takes it at the 9-yard line. 3:27 left in this third quarter. It's been a game of successful field position for Grambling. (21-13) at the Bayou Classic. Southern this half has started on its own 27. It's 13. It's 10. So where they are right now, that's an average starting at the 17-yard line. So the field position against them. And Threat only gets a yard or 2. That's only the 7th play that Southern has run this half. And they're still in minus territory, about -1.
And the first 2 plays of this half, when they ran extremely well, and then they had the holding penalty, and then they had motion penalty. You just can't overcome that. And that's what Coach Richardson said to us yesterday. He said, you know, we just got to eliminate all the mental errors. We eliminate the mental errors and don't beat ourselves. We have a pretty good chance of beating this team.
Tim Tebow and company up 17-0 as you see on the Seminoles. Lee sacked back at the 10-yard line by Robinson. Kendall Robinson, the junior from Birmingham, Alabama, makes the sack of Bryant Lee.
Kendall Robinson, number 91, and this is on the quarterback. Here comes Kendall Robinson on the right-hand side. Take a look at him. Look at how long Lee holds on to the football. There is, I mean, how many times have you heard quarterbacks talk about it? There's a clock in your head that you know that you've got a time, a certain amount of time, and especially with this defensive line, you've got to get the ball out of there.
Maybe he needs to talk to Dylan about that 1-2 me.
yeah, one me.
Here's Lee. Guns it downfield and in traffic caught by Allen. What a nice catch by Curry Allen for 15 yards and a Southern first down. Wow, how did he latch onto that one?
Well, Curry Allen, to show you a little bit about his moves, he's the inside receiver right here coming down the field. Watch this. And this ball is thrown in traffic. Curry Allen, I'm sorry, I had the wrong guy. He was the inside guy, not the post guy. But Curry Allen, look at the concentration. You know, a lot of times when you catch the ball out like that, when the defensive back hits you, it knocks the ball back into your chest.
Lee able to escape, and then passes incomplete, intended for Stewart. And again, Christian Anthony was putting the pressure on Bryant Lee.
Well, Christian Anthony, somebody, you know, you've got to put more than one person on this guy. And here he comes unblocked. I mean, how can that guy, Christian Anthony, come unblocked with everything he's done so far this year? But I'll tell you what, Lee did a great job just getting away and getting the ball out.
And then Stewart couldn't hold on. So it's 2nd down and 10. Pumps once, Lee keeps. Caught from behind around the ankles by Anthony. That's right, Anthony.
You know, you could tape like 11 or 12 by Anthony's right before the game starts. Here he is again, Christian Anthony, number 90. He's coming off the outside on Davis. But look at, he never stops. Lee's going to try to tuck the ball away and run, but Anthony's there to make the stop.
His jersey began the game an extra large. It's now a XXX. The way so many people have grabbed onto it today. Third down and 10. Lee stays in the pocket, but the pass dropped by Allen. That was similar to the last one, but that time Allen couldn't hold on.
That ball hit him right in the hands, and he went to catch it and pull it down too soon. When you take your eye off the ball, here's what happens to it. Take a look. Allen is there, the ball is there, and then boom, he tries to pull the ball down too soon. Make the catch with your hands. That's the important thing. Then tuck it away.
He saw 3 black jerseys converging on him, and looks a little worse for wear on the sideline. So Durant in punt formation again. Low punt. Hits at the 35. Thompson's going to let it roll. Good coverage by Southern as they surround it and down it at the 24-yard line.
You know, Southern had really miscues as far as special teams were concerned, and I blame all of them on Josh Durant. First of all, he misses a 21-yard field goal in the first quarter after a great kickoff return. Then he gets a block punt, and this is his fault. The ball was high, I understand that, but he went right towards the defender instead of kicking the ball down the middle. And then having this ball is kicked so low that it's blocked at the line of scrimmage by Anthony, and that again is his fault.
Durant just uncorked a 50-yarder though on that last punt. So Grambling back in their own territory now with Pippen. Got a block and shook the first tackle. Finally caught by Ball. Final seconds here of the third quarter.
That play is called the extra long handoff.
Yeah.
Again, you've got to break one tackle, you know, and they did on that play and picked up 4 yards.
See if they get the one more play off. Doesn't look like they will.
They don't want to.
So that's the end of the third quarter. So Grambling with 7 points in the third to up their lead. At the end of 3, it's Grambling State 21, Southern 13. We'll return to the State Farm Bayou Classic after these messages from your local NBC station. Well, you think of Grambling football and you think of the great Eddie Robinson, who was their head coach from 1941 to 1997. You saw him walking through the dorms, waking the players at 6 a.m. as he used to do. The first Bayou Classic I broadcast on NBC was when Coach Rob was still the coach, and Joe Namath and I enjoyed so much visiting with him. He had his briefcase with him and all his information, and in the direct line succeeding Coach Rob is Rod Broadway, the current coach. Lewis?
Tom, thanks so much. Well, soon to be open will be the Eddie Robinson Museum down at Grambling, Louisiana. This is Mr. Ray Higgins, who is the curator of this new museum that's on its way to be open. So talk about the effort to really get a lot of the paraphernalia, the memorabilia that will really represent the 57-year career of Eddie Robinson.
Well, we've been searching far and wide. We've got some family memorabilia. We've got some memorabilia that's from the university. And it's been good. You know, I mean, we've been gathering it for years now. And we're looking to put together a real nice piece for the Eddie Robinson Museum.
When people walk into that museum, what is it that you want them to get? What do you want them to understand about it?
We want that wow factor. When you walk in, we want you to know that you're in hallowed ground in north central Louisiana. We want you to know that the work that Coach Rob has put in with his students, and he was really important about his students and his players. He talked about more the students and his players than himself. He really wanted to know he couldn't do it without his players.
And then you've got a big program set for February the 13th, and I believe you have Mike Tomlin from the Steelers there as your keynote speaker, correct?
Absolutely. February 12th and 13th. The 12th is going to be the banquet that night with Mike Tomlin, the coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, is going to be the guest speaker, and the 13th is going to be the groundbreaking. I mean the grand opening, and of course that's Coach Rob's birthday.
All right, thanks so much. And we know his wife Doris will be there on hand, probably watching today. But the Eddie Robinson Museum, a fitting tribute to a tremendous college football coach, Tom.
All right, Lewis, and you see his name on the banners here at the Superdome. Famous sports figures in Louisiana and in New Orleans.
You had a chance to do it again. I had a chance one time to meet him, and I tell you, any person that ever came in contact with Eddie Robinson, your life became better. It really did. He was really an impressive guy. And the one thing about him were the kids. You know, winning wasn't it, it was the kids.
No question. Here's a Carter to punt on 4th down to Hawkins. Yeah, I mentioned that first Bayou Classic on NBC. I did it with Joe Namath, and we should have heard the conversation between Joe and Coach Rob about Paul Bear Bryant. There's a tackle made. No fair catch caught. 44-yard punt and no return. And he didn't really allow him any room to catch it, but no flag. Andrew Azzadeh.
Well, you know, I thought you were supposed to give him a little bit of time to catch the ball, but he did. You know, it looks different when you see it in slow motion.
And he held on to it. Well, it is interesting, isn't it, to think about Coach Robinson and the era he spanned, starting in 1941 at Grambling, and so many great players that he brought to the forefront. One of the great names in all of college football.
Yeah, you know, and you mentioned Bear Bryant. You think about all the things, and they want to talk about him, you know, setting a record and being the guy that won the most games. It never occurred to him. I'm not kidding you. It never occurred to Coach Robinson that I have to win X number of games to be a success in my life. I have to put young men out into the world to be a success in my life. And he did that with so many people.
And that was in the day when there weren't many resources. He was out there lining the field and waking the players up at 6 in the morning and, you know, probably cooking their meals too.
Well, and he was making those big bucks.
He probably wouldn't believe some of the salaries now, would he?
No, he would not.
So Southern trying to get a drive going as Stewart makes his first catch for positive yardage today. Only his second of the game. The first one went for -1. So they've got to get Stewart involved in the game here if the Jaguars are going to make a comeback. And we're into the 4th quarter with 12.5 to go. 10 times they've thrown to him, and that was only the second one he has caught. Now 1 yard total in the game. Lee under pressure, kind of sidearms it to Stewart, and was he hit early? And fans are looking for a flag, and there is a flag on the play.
Well, there should be a flag on the play. You know, Stewart's coming across the middle, and you can't hit him before the ball gets there. Just take a look at Stewart. He's going to come across the middle. Eggsma's the guy that's got him by the arm, by his shirt. You talk about an extra large shirt. He about ripped his shirt off. They had to throw the flag on this play.
Well, let's clear case.
Pass interference, number 50 on the defense. The foul occurred less than 15 yards from the line of scrimmage. Automatic first down.
First down for 7.
You know, it's amazing in this game that they don't go upstairs and review it.
Well, they have no review here in this Bayou Classic. So the ruling on the field always will have to stand.
That was a good call, a very good call.
Yep, that was. I could have made that one. Lee doesn't know what to do with it. Finally finds Alexander, tight end, and he fumbled it. But they say Southern has it back.
Lee doesn't know what to do with it. Alexander didn't know what to do with it when he caught it. He had two guys that didn't know what to do with it. All right, here goes Lee back. He's just waiting and waiting, hoping somebody gets open. He sees Alexander, throws the ball in. Alexander gets it. He has that stripped down, but he gets back on the ball and recovers it.
So second down and about 9 to go.
Blitz
comes. Momentarily picked up. There were 2 flags in the play as Lee dances free. And finally will cross the first down line, but flags came early. Derek Johnson finally wrapping up Bryant Lee, but we would expect a holding call on this play.
We have seen some outstanding runs with not only quarterbacks, Dillon and Lee, but the running backs, Walker and Ward. I mean, after being hit, I mean, this guy here, you know, he's not a small young man. He weighs about 210 pounds, Lee.
Holding. Number 72 on the offense. 10-yard penalty.
Chris Brown, the redshirt freshman from Cleveland, Ohio, called for the hold.
All right, now you're going to watch Lee here, and they just cave everything to the inside. The outside guys didn't stay there. Now watch Lee. You think he's down? No. There's 1 hit, 2. He cuts back to the inside. 2 more guys, but watch where he ends up. You know, yellow line isn't true, but he crossed it by 3 yards.
Took a beating too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Second down 19. Another blitz on its way. Pass to Holloman. And surrounded by black jerseys, about 7 guys hit him. Boy, Grambling really quick to the ball today. Their defense is playing well. A much maligned defense has given up a lot of points this season, but holding that Southern passing attack in check today, in fact, especially Jamarius Stewart. Jamarius Stewart only the 2 receptions for 1 yard.
And Coach Broadway coming into this game wasn't happy with his defense. Oh, they're offside.
And just flags fly everywhere. Lee just falls on it. That play was bad from the start.
You know, this is his defense, because when we talked to him yesterday, I said, Coach, you know, this is your defense. Your stamp is on it. And he looked at me and he said, it's the team's defense. And I said, Coach, this is your defense. He goes, yes.
99 on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
Jamarcus Savage was offside. But it's amazing to me how they've kept Jamar Stewart in check today, the all-SWAC performer who has 191 career receptions now and 2,500 yards, 24 touchdowns. Second to Michael Haynes in Southern history from Baton Rouge Estruma High School. Sack of Lee and a flag.
Well, there's holding on this play and a whole lot of it. But I'll tell you what, they ran a blitz, they being Grambling, and all 5 guys got there. Now, this is what's really going to make you mad as a coach. But take a look at this. They put the blitz on, and all 5 guys get there.
72, holding again, Chris
That's
Brown.
Chris Brown.
We got a hold. 72 on the offense. That penalty decline. 4th down.
All right, Chris Brown is on the left-hand side, number 72, and you're going to see him just pull on the defensive guys down. But take a look back in the backfield. All 5 guys are there, and there's just no place for Lee to go except down.
How bad would it have been if they hadn't been holding? So 4th and a mile, and Duran will punt. Oh, this is a nice one. Beauty by Duran. Thompson gathers it in at the 27-yard line. He's back to the 36 before he is tackled. But it'll be Grambling's ball again. 53-yard punt, 8 on the return. Grambling up 21-13. The State Farm Bayou Classic is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Go to southwest.com. Grab your bag. It's on. By Cheez-It. Cheez-It, the big cheese. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You notice I'm starting a stable, don't you? That's my 2nd horse I bought today. Oh, help me.
Southern Band has been non-stop over in their corner of the end zone. They won the Battle of the Bands today.
Did they have 40,000 people here last night? They said that we're going to have 40,000 people here. I mean, that's incredible.
It's a huge event. Here's Warren. Warren already over 100 yards rushing. Rips off another big chunk before Jason House tracks him down. That's a 17-yard gain.
Up the middle. Up the middle. I mean, when you look at where they're running the football, you talk about having confidence in your offensive line. Just take a look at these guys. That's right up the middle, right over the center and the left guard.
Under 10 minutes to go in this Bayou Classic. 36th annual State Farm Bayou Classic from the Superdome in New Orleans. Frank Warren.
You know, when you see a play like that with Frank Warren, and I've heard a lot of people say, you know, 2nd effort, 3rd effort. I don't believe that. I believe that it's the continuous effort from the 1st effort you have, because if it's the 2nd effort, that means you quit somewhere along the line. When you look at guys like Warren and Walker, when these guys run the ball, they went in on that play there, hits the line, has no place to go, kept his feet going. Right. It's the same continuous movement, and then gets up and picks up 3 yards.
Dillon keeps it after the fake handoff and squirts across for a 1st down. Maybe. Let's see with this marking football. Jordan Miller covered him.
He'll be a little bit short.
A little short, yeah. Now 8.5. So Grambling doing what they wanted to do, chew up the clock and keep a drive going. 3rd down and short.
He was so funny when we talked to him yesterday. Tell me when we asked him, he said, you know, how about your ankle? The coach says you're 95%. And he looked 95%. He said, when the adrenaline starts tomorrow, I'll be 100%. But right now, I don't think so.
Well, you couldn't tell by his running today that he had a bad ankle, could you?
No. I mean, he just was so determined. He said, this game is so important. And, you know, when you look at it, this is my first time doing this game. And when you really look at it, what it means to both of these schools, the whole athletic program, right, and the recruiting. You know, when people watch Grambling and Southern on television and knowing that there's going to be a Bayou Classic each year, I mean, it entices young men to come to these schools.
Warren carried for the 1st down as Grambling continues this drive. Play clock. Got it off. Warren again. Again up the middle, Paul, and stopped right around the 30-yard line.
That's a huge fake by Dillon. He took the ball, turned around, handed it to him. There's no secrets about what they're doing and where they're going. So until Southern loads up, watch it. It's right in the middle. Boom. You get a great block by the center. You get an outstanding block by the guard. And you get another 7 yards.
Reve Smith, the center. Ricky Jackson and Keir Boyd, the guards. Victor Phillips and Quint Roberts, the tackles, all doing a great job to power this Grambling running game. Here's Walker. He wants a few of those yards too as he gets behind that offensive line and picks up a first down. Dimitri Rogers stopped and is hurt on the play.
You know, Reve Smith is a guy we asked the coach about him, and he's number 61. He's your center, and really their leader. And when you watch this guy, and you know the expression, an overachiever, I don't know what that really means. He's an achiever. You take a look at him blocking. I mean, he gets outstanding blocks. He doesn't allow anybody to get near. That was Baugh he knocked down. But the thing about him is that he is continuous. He's like Anthony is on defense. He just comes at you, comes at you, comes at you. He said he doesn't have all the great tools that, you know, that some great centers have. But for this system and for what they do, that this young man, Reve Smith, has done a remarkable job and a great leader.
All SWAC a year ago. Reve Smith, the senior from Port Allen, right across the Mississippi River from Baton Rouge, the home of Southern University.
There's just one more thing about him. I love it when you talk to coaches, as we did yesterday, Tom, and when you ask about a guy and his face lights up, the coach, and he starts smiling. You know how much they love him.
Dillon delayed the handoff to Walker. For a touchdown!
A flag on the play.
Flag back upfield in the Grambling backfield.
Holding Grambling.
Wipes out a touchdown.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Walker's not happy about it either.
But wasn't it pretty?
25-yard touchdown run nullified.
It's a quick draw. Watch. Quick draw to Walker, and then watch the explosion. And here, now you're going to show you some power. At the 5, that's House. Comes up, and he just carries House into the end zone with him. Boy, is it outstanding blocking at the line, but again, there's a holding penalty. So they'll go back and do it again. Same play.
The draw play worked big time, but wiped out by the hold. First down and 20 now. Dillon sets up a screen. Maxwell. Carey, tacklers with him. Still not down. Finally, at about the 13, House jumped on his back and went for a ride.
You know what's so amazing about this? Watch the whole defensive line for Southern. They all stop. They all know that it's a screen. It's a screen pass. And they still can't make the play on it because of bad tackle. Watch these guys right here. Watch all of them. They're all going to stop as soon as they get across the line of scrimmage. Boom, stop. It's a screen. Let's all move through the screen, but nobody makes a tackle. Somebody's got to tackle.
And it gains 21 yards.
Hello.
First down, Grambling. Wildcat formation. Pippen takes the direct snap. Hands it off. And it is Batiste who gets inside the Southern 10-yard line.
You know, you watch these guys and you talk about continuous motion and feet. Watch Batiste. When he comes about round on the outside, watch his feet. Bing, 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 bing. And he's moving. His feet never stop. And the only thing that he's trying to do is go forward. Good stiff arm.
He might have gotten up into the face mask and then might have been a late hit out of bounds. So the Wildcat again. Pippen keeps it. Trying to get to the edge and caught and somersaulted down by House.
I tell you, when you just look at this game and you count up the number of defensive backs that have made tackles, not linemen, not linebackers, but defensive backs, they are getting into the second level on Southern's defense, and there's nothing left to stop them except safeties and corners.
Now under the 5-minute mark as Dillon is back out at quarterback. Used the Wildcat on a couple of downs. Now Dillon's back with Warren. Dillon throws into the end zone. No good. Intended for Maxwell. Pretty well defended on the play.
You know, when you think about it, though, and you talk about a lot of missed tackles and things that are happening in the safeties and corners that are making plays, this defense really came. I mean, for Southern, they bent a lot. I mean, and they gained yardage up from the goal line up to the other 30. But when it got down, like now, here they are having to kick a field goal again. I mean, I like what I saw sometimes, but most of the times, missed tackles will kill you, and they have Southern.
Ari Johnson attempting a 24-yard field goal on 4th down, and he boots it through. Ari Johnson with a field goal, and Grambling able to get the 3 points, and really took a lot of time off the clock. Only 4:40 left. The drive took 5 minutes. It's 24-13. The 36th Annual State Farm Bayou Classic. Visit a neighborhood State Farm agent today. It's Grambling State 24, Southern 13. Grambling has had several drives today that have consumed time and garnered points. They've outrushed Southern in our State Farm up-to-date stats, 273 to 91. Passing yards are dead even, and total yards in favor of the Tigers. Call a neighborhood State Farm agent today. Lewis?
Well, Tom, before his 14 seasons in the National Football League, Everson Walls was a cornerback for Eddie Robinson and the Grambling State Tigers. And Ed, what do you remember, Everson, about playing for Eddie Robinson, playing back in those days?
You know, I remember how hungry Coach always wanted us to be. He wanted us to always be opportunistic when it came down to it. But number one, he wanted to make sure that everyone realized that they represented Grambling State University, because that's where all of his pride lay. And you better take your butt to class, too, because he graduated about 90% of his ball players.
And as you moved on to the National Football League and had a tremendous career there, what lessons did you take from him that not only helped you as a football player, but also as a man?
Well, it doesn't matter where you come from, but where you are. You know, that's one thing Coach Bob believed in. I was going to be represent Grambling no matter what. So when I came there, even though I played against a bunch of guys from the bigger schools, I wanted to let them know that Grambling was in the house. And I wanted to play well at all times just to represent Grambling.
Now, some of the people today might remember that you gave a special gift to one of your teammates, Ron Springs, quickly on that kidney donation that you did for him.
No doubt. We, you know, it was all about trying to do something special for a friend. That's basically what it was all about. Now it's all of a sudden it's grown into this worldwide thing, and that's good. But initially, it was only to help try and save a friend's life. But the blessings have been coming even after that.
All right, good stuff. Good to see you and enjoy the game. Okay?
Thank you very much.
All right, Tom?
All right, Lewis, as Nelson returns the kickoff and then fumbles the football, and it's recovered by Grambling. Nigel Copeland recovers the Southern fumble.
Well, Nelson, you know, you got to protect the football, and this is what every coach will say. But, you know, it's been over and over and over again, miscues. You're taking a look at here. Here's Nelson. When you're making a turn like that, you get the ball hanging out, it's going to get knocked out. I mean, it has nothing to do with blocking. It's protecting the football.
Southern actually was one of the best in the business at turnovers. Antonio Leonard forced that fumble, by the way. Southern came into the game with a +17 turnover margin, which is number 2 in the nation in the football championship subdivision. So Not many turnovers by the Jaguars normally, as Walker is stopped by Williams.
And the thing about it is, though, Southern has really never had field position in its entire second half.
You're right.
It was 14-13 at halftime, but they've been in their own end zone most of this second half.
Now coming to the 4-minute mark. Dillon hands to Walker to the 30-yard line.
And Dillon looked up at that clock, that play clock coming down. It starts at 40 seconds. That ball was snapped with 1 second left to go on the play clock. And just you watch him.
Well, that's a veteran, right?
Oh yeah, and you know he's sitting there, and that's also coaching. They're on the other side saying, "You look at that clock up there. It's at 20, coming 19." He said, "You would when that thing gets down to 2."
Dillon, the junior from Bogalusa, Louisiana, who was the MVP of this game a year ago.
Here they go again. That thing's down to 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, snap.
And Warren. Another nice run for a first down.
The only thing bad about this whole play, he got a first down and stopped the clock.
But not for long.
No. This is, I mean, these guys, boy, you got to make sure that all the guys get their Coca-Colas or whatever they drink after this game. I'm talking about the offensive linemen, because these offensive linemen, they have done a magnificent job today.
And again, in no hurry, as James Spady sends the play in. Warren now with 20 carries for 177 yards. Make it one more. His 21st carry gets him to the 5-yard line. House and Berry making touchdown saving tackles. He's averaging about 8 yards a carry for this game, is Frank Warren.
Well, you know, when you look at again, I'm not harping on this thing, but over and over and over again, once he gets through the hole, there is a missed tackle at the line of scrimmage, but the blocking is so great. And you ask any offensive lineman, I'm talking about maybe not Pee Wee, but you go back to high school, offensive linemen want to run the football. They want to run the ball.
Southern calls a timeout with only 2:07 left. And Grambling threatening to increase their lead, which is now 24-13. Back at the Superdome, and the celebration is underway over on the Grambling side. Their team's up 24-13 in the State Farm Bayou Classic with only 2:07 on the clock. And the Tigers down again at the Southern 6-yard line. Frank Warren with a career day, 160 yards. He's had 8 runs of 10 yards or more. There's a look at Warren, the junior running back of the Tigers from Pleasant Grove, North Carolina. Straight ahead for a couple with Warren.
Boy, when you run the ball for over 300 yards, you not only control the game, you control the clock.
Right.
I mean, they've been down in this territory a number of times, and they have eaten up this clock. I mean, you talk about great clock management.
There are the numbers on Frank Warren. Impressive day, averaging 7.5 a carry. Career high. It's the call again. Squirms down close to the goal line, but not across. And the clock continues to roll toward a minute.
I'll tell you one thing, man. If I'm an offensive lineman on this football team, when they show the film tomorrow and whenever they sit there, I'd sit there for hours and hours and hours. I mean, just watch all the things that these guys did the entire time.
You puff out your chest and take some credit for this excellent rushing attack, over 300 yards on the ground. And you know, you talk about managing the clock. There was a turnover involved here, but the last time Southern ran a play from scrimmage was at about the 10-minute mark here in the fourth quarter. So Grambling just eating up the clock and marching down the field and getting points at the end of it, which is important too.
It really is. And you know, Dillon is a quarterback that people don't think about as a throwing quarterback. Well, when you have a running game like he had today, and you can throw the ball whenever you want to throw the ball, it's a lot easier. But if I'm an offensive lineman on Grambling football team, I walk around campus all next week, even just with my jersey on, saying I'm an offensive lineman. Look what we did.
Well, Grambling, of course, going for back-to-back wins. Last year they won the Bayou on their way to the SWAC championship and their 14th Black College National Championship. They're not going to win the SWAC this year, but they're going to win one that counts against their arch rival Southern. Third down and goal. Airborne.
Touchdown.
Warren. There's the signal touchdown, and a little scuffle breaks out afterwards, and now the Tigers will celebrate in the Southern end zone with Frank Warren. Got him the touchdown after he's had a career rushing day.
He said, I've run all over this field today, so I might as well go and take it in the end zone. Watch, up and over. And just remember, only the ball has to just touch the goal line. And Warren, he timed it perfectly, got behind his offensive line again. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Warren, the SWAC Freshman of the Year back in 2007 when he gained over 900 yards. Is closing in on 1,000 this year. This will put him close to 900 for the season. As Johnson attempts the extra point, it's good. Big day for Frank Warren. 24 carries, 166 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Grambling in command. Tough time over on the Southern sideline as Bryant Lee and company will see the Bayou Classic once again go to Grambling State. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, celebrations are in order, and the Gatorade is about to come out. You remember last year, Coach Broadway got an Gatorade shower. And there it is again.
Doesn't care. Does not care.
Let's go to Lewis.
Well, Doug Williams and I are staying away from the Gatorade shower. We don't want any part of that, especially with that nice suit. Here's the man that stepped in for Eddie Robinson in 1998. You coached 6 seasons, and I'm assuming that a situation like this, a moment like this, where you guys are victorious, it just never gets old.
Well, you know, anytime you can win the Bayou Classic, you know, that's what it's all about in the state of Louisiana between these two schools. And to see them guys happy, you know, that says a lot, because when you look at this stadium, there's a lot of families across the line. Yeah. Whether or not they're on Grambling side or Southern side, so now they got something to go home to brag about.
Help the people, Doug, understand what it's like for a guy like Rod Broadway to walk in here and the pressure, no SWAC championship opportunity, so this is it. What's that like as a head coach to walk in here and be expected to win?
Well, I think, number one, this game is probably the first time since the SWAC championship has been in existence that neither one of these teams was playing to go to the championship. So the only thing was left was pride. And I think at the end of the day, you know, Grambling come out on the best side of the pride.
All right, Tom, I'll throw it back up to you, and we're going to make sure we stay away from that Gatorade, all right?
Well, Doug knows what it's like to feel the Gatorade, doesn't he? The first African-American quarterback to win a Super Bowl in a Redskins uniform. And here he is with Coach Rob.
And the most valuable player in the game. I mean, it was unbelievable watching him. You know, they figured, you know, this guy, I mean, that smile on his face has always been there and always will be there. He just, not only was he a hell of a player, coach, but also person.
Classy gentleman.
You bet.
Taking on the hop. There's Wilson with the return. And Christian Anthony and his teammates can't stop smiling over there on the sideline, can they?
All day. Now that there's a guy, he's only a junior, and according to what he says, what the coach says, he's coming back next year. There's a young man that's going to the other level.
And throughout the game, our first down line has been brought to you by Energized Game Studios, BCFX, the Doug Williams edition, in stores now. Clock will start to tick down from 52 seconds on the snap of the football. And hit hard as he came to the sideline. Fleming gave him a shot as Lee rolled out. Couldn't find nobody downfield, and keeping it pays the price.
Yeah, Lee, you're a senior. The game is in the hands of Grambling now. Get out of bounds. Either get out of bounds or get down. There's no reason to take a shot.
Bryant Lee, the senior, who is the all-time Southern career passing leader in yards and passing touchdowns, closing in on 8,000 yards passing. Sidearms that one incomplete. Came in with 66 touchdown passes. Meanwhile, Pete Richardson on the Jaguar sideline, alone with his thoughts. This is such a close series in the Bayou Classic, and the series overall as well.
Hey, you know, Tom, one other thing too is if you've ever done anything in your life where you have the bragging rights, you know what we're talking about. This is all about bragging rights.
Lee with that pass complete to Jeremy Paul. And so Bryant Lee, who had the gaudy passing numbers, held in check relatively with 12 of 26, 136 yards and 1 touchdown. And what about Jamorris Stewart, the highly touted wide receiver of Southern? Only 2 catches today. Non-factor in the game. So give the Grambling defense, the much maligned defense of the Tigers, credit for that.
Yeah, you know, the defensive line for Grambling, defensive line with Christian Anthony, I mean, we've got him. I mean, they're going to contain most everything that's up there in the line of scrimmage. And what they were trying to do, Southern, is get the ball to Stewart. And they should have really gone, they were going to look at it. They had to go someplace else. They did it on Allen on the 1 touchdown throw. But there are other guys that were open in this thing. And if he's going to be that, let him be the decoy. If he can wrap up 2 guys.
And we said if they double Stewart, that look for Warren Matthews, the tight end. Well, he went out early with an injury after a 32-yard reception, the biggest play of the game for the Jaguars.
I think that really hurt because this game, you know, even though the score is now 31-13, if that one time was only a 1-score game, and when you lose a guy that you really are depending on in this ball game, which was the tight end, something they hadn't had in years, it really deflates your offense.
And that's it. The final score, 31-13, Grambling defeating Southern. And even though they're bitter rivals, you know there's a lot of respect between these 2 programs, 2 traditionally black universities in the state of Louisiana. Rod Broadway, Pete Richardson approaching midfield for the customary post-game handshake. And said even though these players are fierce rivals, they do respect each other. They know each other. A lot of them from towns sprinkled throughout Louisiana and adjoining states. They see each other in the summer times and other times too. So when the game is over, when the heat of battle has drifted away, they enjoy each other's company as the Grambling band celebrates.
But you know the thing, just take a look at that field. All of these players stayed on the field to go shake hands with each other. This is almost like in hockey, you know, at the end of a hockey game where they all line up. And these guys respect each other so well. Talking to the players yesterday was, you know, what these guys say, you know, we are bitter rivals and enemies from 1 o'clock until the game is over. But right after that, we are great friends, and we will be great friends for the rest of our lives. And like you said before, most of these guys' lives have interchanged each other. They are just athletes that really care about the game, their sport, their school.
Our State Farm players of the game as voted by the media. Bryant Lee of Southern passing for 137 yards in a losing effort. And Christian Anthony with 9 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble and a blocked extra point. And he's from Grambling, of course, and Lee from Southern. And, of course, Frank Warren had a career rushing day. He gained, what, 170-some yards in the afternoon and had a couple of touchdowns as well. So he was one of many heroes, 168 yards, one of many heroes today for the Grambling State Tigers. And let's go down to Lewis now with Southern coach Pete Richardson.
All right, Tom, thanks a lot. Well, Pete, I'm sure this is not the outcome you had hoped and worked for, so why don't you just describe what do you think happened today?
I think up front we got outplayed, especially on the defensive line. We had trouble controlling them, and then we were inconsistent offensively. We made too many mistakes on our special teams, and that cost us a lot of points.
I know we talked yesterday about the bye week you had, and you were a bit concerned about that real game, week in, week out rhythm. Was maybe that part of the deal also?
Well, we played 2 games in a month. We lost our conditioning, and I think it's tough to do that. But I think Grambling just played well. They just outplayed us, so there's no excuses for it.
When you're standing here in a moment like this and you hear the other anthem being played, can you just describe this? You've been here so many times, but on this side, the disappointment of not winning the Bayou Classic and not having a SWAC championship opportunity.
Well, it's disappointing, but our kids played. We had some injuries in the game, had to play some young players, but overall, I thought Grambling did a fine job of preparation, and they just outplayed us. All
right, here's your quarterback, Bryant Lee. I'll ask him to step in. Thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate it. Bryant, step in here. So you're a senior, your last opportunity at the Bayou Classic, and how disappointed are you?
It's real disappointing, you know, just to play hard all season long. And, you know, a lot of people look forward to the Bayou Classic. And, you know, our fans came out here and supported us great tonight. And, you know, we just couldn't do it, couldn't execute and finish strong.
How difficult was that defense from the other side? They really seemed to keep you out of rhythm and give you fits.
Their defensive coordinator, you know, he had us, he game planned real good for us. They have great players on their defense. Great players makes a great defense total. So they came out and they blitzed us, and we just couldn't finish strong.
The two of you, Stewart and yourself, had connected so many times, but I believe you only had 2 catches, Jamars, throughout this game. From your position, first of all, why was it so difficult to get him the ball?
Great plays on defense. You know, they had the plays to stop them. And we just couldn't get it out there. They had great defensive line pressure on me, and just couldn't execute.
And Jamars, you actually had 3 catches on the day, but I'm sure that's not what you were looking for. What was their defense doing to you that made it so difficult?
They kind of kept 2 guys, a guy up top, and one of the linebackers kind of kept an eye out on me to take away any short thing. And, I mean, you know, they had the guy up top for anything deep. So, I mean, you know, we just we couldn't find our rhythm, you know, when they gave us chances to.
As I asked the head coach, as I asked Mr. Lee here, I'll ask you, how disappointing is it to lose the Bayou Classic and have to go home and listen to the chatter from the other side for the next 365 days?
Oh, it's tough, you know. I mean, you're going to hear from them. It's a game they look forward to, and I mean, you know, they just got the upper hand this year.
All right, gentlemen, classy and lost. Thanks for stopping to talk. Tom?
All right, Lewis, Southern held to just 3 first downs in the second half of play as the Grambling players listened to their alma mater being played here at the Superdome. And not happy Southern University Jaguars. And on the other side, Christian Anthony, the MVP from the Grambling State Tigers, in the Gatorade shower for Coach Broadway. And we'll be back to the Superdome for more of our coverage of the State Farm Bayou Classic. Grambling State has won the State Farm Bayou Classic 31-13 over Southern. And our 4th defensive player of the game is Christian Anthony of Grambling. He just does everything, doesn't he, Paul?
I'll tell you what, I couldn't believe the numbers when I saw him, and then when you see him play, you know why he has the big numbers that he has. The guy, I love to see his motor because it never stops. Not only does he make plays in the backfield at the line of scrimmage, but also downfield. He is a tremendous athlete.
He's our 4th defensive player of the game. Now let's rejoin Lewis Johnson on the field.
All right, Tom, thanks so much. Well, there's still an excitement in the air here as the Grambling State Tigers have won the Bayou Classic
2004-2009. Coach Rod Broadway, you picked up your second win. What does it mean to be victorious in front of all your fans here and around the country?
Well, as we said all along, this is a big win for us. This is a big game, and, you know, congratulations to our players, and I couldn't be prouder of a football team than I am of our guys.
All right, well, we've got a trophy presentation to make, so, sir, why don't you go ahead and do the honors?
Thank you very much. On behalf of State Farm and its over 100,000 agents and employees, it's my honor today to present the game-winning trophy to the Grambling Tigers. Coach, congratulations.
He wants the team to take it. All right, Christian Anthony, come on down here. A beautiful trophy, but we've got to talk about your performance today. Just what does it mean for you, first of all, to be a champion here at the Bayou Classic?
Oh, it's a big thing. I'm just happy. I'm overwhelmed with the feelings I got. We came in with a game plan, we executed. I'm just happy we executed our game plan.
You know, you said something earlier in the week. You were talking about legacy and the importance of remembering those like Eddie Robinson and the ones who came before you. How do you represent them today in this win, remembering the history and legacy of the Grambling Tigers?
I represent them with a win. Bayou Classic. That's what it is.
And so, as you get back to campus, after the classy side of things, there's going to be a little chatter, I'm sure, all week. What do you think you guys will be talking about on the bus ride or the flight back home to Louisiana?
The game. All the way back.
I have a feeling you're keeping it clean for me, and I do appreciate that. Well, congratulations to you and the Grambling State Tigers for a big win here in the Bayou Classic.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tom?
All right, Lewis.
He's for real.
Superdome starting. He is for real. Superdome starting to empty out now as we bring you our Coors Light cold play of the game. And it was the touchdown that got things started as Greg Dillon goes airborne in order to score the first touchdown of the game, put Grambling on top, and they would never trail after that. And great beer, great responsibility, our Coors Light cold play of the game. That was part of the 308 yards rushing that Grambling put up on the afternoon. And so 31-13 is the final in the Bayou Classic. And now let's go to New York to check on other opportunities around college football today. Let's go to our New York studios and join Bill Patrick.
This has been the U.S. Bank NBC Sports Report. U.S. Bank, all of us serving you.
Welcome back to the Superdome, where the Grambling Band celebrates the football team's 31-13 victory in the Bayou Classic. The Southern Band won the Battle of the Band for the last lap. For the Grambling Band, their football team wins its second straight Bayou Classic.
So who has the bragging rights?
Both. Wolf Band such a big part of all the pageantry at the Bayou Classic.
Well, I wasn't disappointed in the bands, I can tell you that. And I was not disappointed in the game.
Grambling won the game on the basis of their rushing attack as they rushed for over 300 yards. Grambling had 16 runs of 10 or more yards for the game, and it was Warren with a career-high 166 yards and a couple of touchdowns.
You watching this young man. Watch the explosion here from the 5. Bang, he's in the end zone. This guy, when he gets the ball in his hand, they allowed him at the end of the game to get this final touchdown, which is his second of the game. But, you know, I mean, this guy, you know, he is proud of his offensive line.
And just a few moments ago, Lewis Johnson caught up with Frank Warren.
Well, Tom, Frank Warren had an unbelievable day running the ball today. Big-time rushes, and you had an incredible average per rush. What does it mean to you today to be able to contribute to your team like what you did?
I mean, it was a blessing how we came out and run the ball. I want to thank my offensive line for giving me the opportunity to get to the second level without touch. I give it all to my offensive line.
And what does it mean emotionally as a college student to come here to New Orleans and win this Bayou Classic?
It's big. It's big. We had a disappointing year. We wanted to end in the championship game, but we wanted to get this big win for next year.
Congratulations. Good stuff.
Thank you.
All right, Lewis, and it was not only Warren, but Walker, his fellow running back, and Dillon, the quarterback, that also had big rushing days. Walker for 57 yards and Dillon for 46. So they accounted for 269 yards. That three-headed monster that they talked about running the football.
Man, is that impressive? 269 yards between those three guys. I mean, you got to win a football game. And the teams that can run as well as Grambling did today, it's almost impossible to. I mean, they control the clock they control everything. They control everything.
And that helped along by some Southern miscues along the way. And only 3 first downs in the entire second half for the Jaguars, who lost the field position battle as well.
It's almost like you see it coming. On the opening kickoff, they run the ball like 70-some yards down, and they miss a 21-yard field goal time. That, to me, it deflates a football team. They put themselves in a position to go up right off the bat, and they don't. And that really, you think about it. And then, again, Coach Richardson said it. Their defensive line did not play very well. Not one guy on that defensive line played well. Grambling ran the ball exactly where they wanted to run it.
Well, great to be back with you again. Did you have some fun?
I loved it, man. Are you kidding me? Thanks, everybody. Thanks, everybody. I really appreciate it.
Great to see Paul McGuire again as Grambling again wins the Bayou Classic. 31-13 is the final score. Go to NBCSports.com for extended footage from the Battle of the Bands. And don't forget, tomorrow night, the Pittsburgh Steelers travel to Baltimore to play the Ravens on Sunday Night Football. Tonight, starting at 8/7 Central, the NBC Holiday Special, Mary Madagascar, followed by the movie The Incredibles. So for Paul McGuire and Lewis Johnson, Tom Hammond saying so long from the Louisiana Superdome. You've been watching the 36th Annual State Farm Bayou Classic.